Hello and welcome to Wantage Road, the county ground in Northampton. My name is Dan Jadzovic. I'm joined by Sam Dalling, Sam Keir, apologies. And we also have Joe Gardner, Sunrise's professional cricketer, up in the commentary box with us this evening as well. Sam, lovely evening. How are you, mate?
Great to see you, Dan. Even if you did get my name wrong, beautiful evening. The county ground is buzzing. Already quite a few in. The sun is shining. The music's playing, and I think everyone is looking forward to the blast getting underway. It couldn't come at a better time. Bit of a reset after a couple of tricky weeks. So I think the atmosphere is great, and everyone is looking to get underway.
Absolutely. What a difference the weather makes as well. Last time we were here, it was pretty cold still. Feels like summer's turned up now. We've got the Steelbacks versus the Rapids, Northamptonshire versus Worcestershire. The toss isn't far away, which you're going to bring us live and talk to the skippers as well, see what's going on with the teams. Are the players from Northamptonshire that you're looking forward to see tonight?
Well, you can't look far beyond Chris Lynn after that incredible debut season for the Steelbacks last year. If he plays 3/4 as good as he did last year, then the Steelbacks are going to be very, very well placed. Andrew Ty, I think, is a great signing, especially for those death overs. I think maybe that was something that was missing last year, and who can come in and bowl death, and he just seems to keep going stronger and stronger. Great BBL this year. And then, of course, the new skipper, David Willey. Great to have him home in Northamptonshire. You spoke to him last week, and I think you could tell how excited he was to get going. So, yeah, and, the warm-ups have gone well. Funnily enough, Worcestershire, 2 warm-ups. I should call them warm-ups, second 11 games on Monday, and it seemed like all the batters managed to chip in, get a score, so confidence should be sky high.
Yeah, there's been some pretty outrageous second 11 teams being put out, hasn't there, in the build-up to the blast, which is really exciting. As you said, Andrew Ty, really exciting addition to the team here in Northampton. I think he was the leading wicket taker at Durham last year in the blast, and obviously he's played all around the world, which is amazing. And David Willey, as you say, coming back from Yorkshire, so captain Northamptonshire in the blast. He isn't that far away from us now, which is quite exciting. And what kind of role? Obviously he's captain. What kind of role do you think he's going to have on the team this year?
Well, obviously, with the ball, you'd imagine he'll be going first up with the new ball. That's what he's done so well, and he takes wickets all the time with that new ball. And then it'll be interesting to see where he bats. He could bat anywhere, really, from sort of 1 to 7, really, and he has done with success. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting how he fits into that team and how kind of impacts as we nearly get absolutely mullered by a ball, but we're still going. Be interesting to see fits in and what that sort of means for the other guys who will open up. Particularly will be interesting. Could be Vasco. Obviously, Lenny's back. So yeah, plenty of strength up top.
Yeah. 100 in last year for Northamptonshire, one of which came in the fixture here at Wantage Road against Worcestershire. Not out, which I think coined the phrase "hidden over Jackson Grundy," and I think there were some really nice clips of neighbours retrieving cricket balls from back up. I can't wait to see a bit of insanity here at the game.
Yeah, if you live in one of the houses on Wantage Road, then it is time to put the shutters up. L'invasion has started. But yeah, I mean, if he gets off to a good start, this place is going to be rocking, and I think they'll just lift the whole side. So you'd imagine if they win the toss, as they did last year, they'll want to bat first. It's a lot of success, particularly here at home, and we know in this competition with the games coming thick and fast, momentum is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. We're stood not far away from the pitch, Sam, and in both our incredibly village cricket expertise, it looks like an absolute belter as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, as you would expect from Wantage Road on T20 nights, an absolute road. I mean, I think we could well be seeing scores with a 2 in front. Hope this side back first to get speakers now, but it does look like we got the toss.
We have
some distance away. Hey, I'm going to go and do the run. Is that all right? Yeah. So David Willey is currently taking his pre-match interview here. We're going to run out of time to speak to him, but the good news is, Dan, you spoke to him at length 4 weeks ago, looking ahead to the Blast, and so we'll get an in-depth view on the season ahead, the campaign ahead from David Willey.
David Willey, welcome back to Northampton.
Cheers, thanks.
How is it?
Yeah, it's great to be back. This place got a real special place in my heart. I grew up here. My dad played here. On this outfield, in the days that you could play on the outfield as a kid, I spent a lot of my youth here.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have played much on the outfield yesterday, looking at the size of the puddles that we had.
No, the weather came down pretty bad yesterday, but it looks like it's drying up nicely today.
Absolutely. Much changed at Wantage Road since you were last here?
Not a great deal, to be honest.
No.
Some new dressing rooms gone in, but a lot of it's very much the same, which I quite like. I mean, I actually quite like the idea of the old dressing room still being there, and my spot from 8 years ago. But no, I mean, they've done a fantastic job.
Have you got your spot back?
Well, it's completely been reshaped and changed, so it's very different. It's very good. But the sentimental side of me, I would have liked it to have been the same.
Love it. And how's your winter been?
It's been good. I think the schedule, the global schedule, is pretty hectic now. So, obviously being part of that World Cup was pretty special for me and my family, and took some time out as well. Missed a couple of competitions and things to make sure I'm balancing work and family time. So it's been a good winter, and then obviously disappointing to come back from the IPL early. I've really enjoyed my time there and the experience, and the players you rub shoulders with and opportunities to learn is pretty cool. So, but the flip side of that is I'm back here earlier than I expected, and looking forward to the challenges ahead.
But you didn't bring the weather back with you, did you?
No, certainly didn't.
So you're coming back. Well, I guess congratulations on the captaincy. Coming back to lead this Northampton squad in the T20 Blast. A couple of the lads really stood out with good performances last year. I think Safe scored over 300 runs, striking at 150. Sanderson took a hatful of wickets as well last season. How have the lads been with you coming back into the dressing room, and any of the lads that kind of stand out, guys that you're looking forward to playing with? Yeah,
obviously absolutely delighted to be captain at Northants, as I said before, that sentimental side of things, but also from a personal point of view, hopefully I can bring some of that knowledge I've had from different franchises, different counties, and bring some of that back here and help every person in the dressing room and the club as a whole. So I'm looking forward to the challenge ahead. Obviously coming in a couple of weeks before the Blast starts presents some challenges, but getting stuck into it as soon as possible. And I think we've got a great side. We've got some match winners there individually, but as a collective, I think we're shaping up really nicely, and we should be able to put on a show here.
Yeah. Any players when you were away at Yorkshire that you kind of looked at in the Northampton squad and you thought, I don't fancy bowling to you, or I don't fancy batting against you?
No, look, I think if Northants have always had a very strong side in T20 cricket. Obviously, Linney went exceptionally well last year. Safe had a sort of breakthrough season, so he'll be looking to build on that. And I think that probably this thing they've struggled with is that consistency in the past, which I think is really going to be a focus for this year, about how we go about our business to make sure we are more consistent and then build towards the back end of the competition. I think at this stage of my career, it's really good for me personally to have my focus being on other people, not just my own game. And I've really enjoyed that side of it, actually being able to help other people. And I think that's part of really what I want my focus to be here on. The young lads particularly, hoping to help them grow and take their game forward. And I'd love nothing more in a few years' time for me not be able to make the side, because these young lads at Northampton have come through and taken my spot. So I'm looking forward to the challenge ahead, and I think there are some things, from a cricket point of view that we can do differently, and our sort of attitudes and how we're going about our business, we can make some small changes, which I hope bring that consistency I've talked about.
Because you would have played with under two of probably the greatest captains of the modern era anyway, with Owen Morgan with your England side of it, and then at Chennai with MS Dhoni as well. Can you look back at those times and take things that those two amazing leaders that would have kind of shared with you and bring them into your own captaincy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I I'd like to think that's something that I will bring and be able to draw from my experience of playing cricket around the world under not only great captains but also great coaches and management and also how environments are set up and people go about their business. And for me, it's not just about the runs and wickets, but also how we're looking to improve as a collective, individuals and as a club as well. And that's not just for these couple of years or this season. It's beyond that. So I think I've got to be authentic to myself. But there's certainly things you pick up over the years and from your experiences that you think, oh, that's brilliant. I want to bring that to the way I'd like to lead a team. And some of these guys probably know me from 8 years ago when I was here previously, and I was pretty immature. I got some things wrong. I think a lot of my intentions were very good then, but through my immaturity, the way I put things across or express them were probably wrong. And I think through my journey of disappointment, the highs and lows of my career, I hope I can empathise with people, and if there is something that needs to be addressed, I can do it in a constructive manner. So it's been a great journey for me over the years, around the world with England, the good and bad bits, being left out of the 19 World Cup and so on, but there's been some great bits too.
Yeah. It's great to kind of hear you look back on everything and talk about it so openly as well, which is really nice to hear. And I'm sure from everybody that's going to be turning up here during the summer, it's refreshing to hear that from a professional as well, to kind of be so open about your experiences. But I know the club have sold more season tickets than they ever have before with the T20 Blast as we come around. So I think what's been dubbed as Rowdy Corner, I think. How exciting is it again for you to play in front of the fans again? Guys that have missed you for a few years.
Look, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, we've played a few games here as an opposition over the years, and it was just in front of this cinch board here that I actually got beer thrown at me when I first went to Yorkshire. So I'm looking forward to coming back. Hopefully I get a bit of a warmer welcome this year. But,
I hope so.
But yeah, to come back and, as I said, obviously I want to perform well on the field, but hopefully I can, contribute to a lot of other aspects of the club and the team that I can use my experiences to help other people.
Yeah. Definitely a loaded question because I've had a bit of a tip off here, but if you could add 3 things to Wantage Road on a blast night, David Willey's got the checkbook. Add anything you want. What are you going for?
Well, it'd be nice if we could stick another 30,000 people in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so, I mean, I did say open checkbook. So
we're going to need to probably take all these houses and and stuff. So yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing better than playing in a packed house, and the more fans, the better. And so yeah, that would be one thing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, let's stop here for a second because we want to talk about your overseas players. Chris Lynn comes back for a second season, scored a couple of hundreds last year and deposited a few cricket balls into those houses that way, hence why we've stopped. Have you played much with Chris in the past? You obviously would have played against him last summer. Some guy that I guess you must be thrilled to have back in the ranks here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a great bit of business from the club last year. There was a guy there, I think he'd lost his BBL contract and he had a lot to prove. So I think that's one of the things with smaller clubs. You've got to do good business with overseas signing, and he was a prime example of some good work there. So obviously a formidable player and wins games single-handedly, so it's great to have him back. Again, he's someone that's played all around the world. He's a great asset to the dressing room as well. I think that's really important with overseas, that you not only get somebody that's going to win your games of cricket, but can also help the dressing room and the guys coming through. So it's about adding value in all aspects, and he does that. I played with him at Superchargers for 2 seasons. One season, but yeah, look, he was great. I did a bit of captaincy for Superchargers as well and lent on him a bit, and he was great to work with, so I'm looking forward to that relationship growing and being out in the middle with him.
Brilliant. And then AJ Ty as well, experienced Australian seamer, kind of feels like he's played for an awful lot of counties. So much experience. Is he? I think.
Are you calling him a journeyman?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying experienced. So again, another brilliant lad to kind of bring into the team and bolster the ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. I played with AJ at Perth Scorchers for 4 years, so I know him quite well. So it's nice to have those relationships that are already there. And I think something that they struggled with at Northants last year was their bowling. So hopefully AJ and myself can can add to that. And I think what we've got nice this year is a really nice variety in that bowling attack. And with my captaincy hat on, that's something that I really like to have, that we've got you know, some different variety in the way people go about it, different angles, slightly different, you know, range and pace as well. So yeah, I think that's both of those signings are fantastic for the club, and you know, it's probably no surprise that they've sold so many season tickets this year, and you know, the club do a great job of, you know, making the T20 Blast such a good product here, and it is a great place to play, and the entertainment's fantastic.
Back to Northampton then. Load of youngsters in the squad. Left arm, Risty, Freddie Heldrick, James Sales as well. Is there any of the youngsters that you kind of look at and you think, oh yeah, these boys are, not to put any pressure on them, but like really think they're heading the right direction and going to have a good season?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of fantastic talent just being around the last few days. There's some brilliant talent there, and there we go. Hazard perception as well here. No, look, I think there's some brilliant young talent at the club, and you know, I think one of the things that I've seen in the last few days is what's going to be really important for them is the way they practice and the way they grow their game, the conversations they have to really excel their game and make that step up. And you know, I think, you know, having those senior players, those guys that have played a lot of cricket around the world, are really going to help those guys. And you know, when they get their opportunity, hopefully we can take the pressure off them and give them the freedom to go out and play.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. Good luck this season as well.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, welcome back. We are now up here at the Lynn Wilson Centre end in the commentary boxes. My name is Sam Keir. I'm joined by Joe Gardner and Dan Jadzowicz for this, the opening match of the Northants Steelbacks Vitality Blast campaign 2023. We didn't get a chance to actually bring you the news of the toss when we were down in the middle because there were balls flying around. The toss was taking place in front of the dugouts. But we can now bring you that news. Worcestershire have won the toss and they will bat. Joe, no great surprise with that decision.
No, I think it was always on the cards, wasn't it? Looking at how well teams have always shaped up in the first innings here. Obviously, I'm sure David Willey would have done the exact same thing.
So we'll just run you through the 11s of both sides, starting with the visitors, the Worcestershire Rapids. They're captained by Brett D'Oliveira. Then their New Zealand overseas, Michael Bracewell, who's made it back from the IPL and is down to open the batting with D'Oliveira. Jack Haynes at 3. Adam Hose, their big signing from Warwickshire, at 4. He'll be a very exciting player for the Rapids this season. Kashif Ali at 5. Ben Cox, the wicketkeeper, at 6. Ed Pollock down the order at 7, usually an opening batter, but he's been put down. He's struggled a bit with form in recent years, so maybe that's a chance to harness his hard-hitting skills. Osama Mir, who is a short-term replacement for Mitchell Santner, who's still out at the IPL. Adam Finch, Mitchell Stanley and Pat Brown. And then the Steelbacks, Chris Lynn, the Australian overseas who made such an impact last year. He's back at the top of the order. He'll open, we think, with Ricardo Vasconcelos. David Willey, new captain, in at 3, having rejoined from Yorkshire over the winter. Josh Cobb at 4, Sabe at 5, Lewis McManus back from his finger injury at 6 and keeping wicket, Tom Taylor at 7, Rob Keogh down at 8, that must be wrong, so he would probably go above McManus, Sales down at 9, White down at 10, and AJ Tye, the other Australian overseas for the 2023 season, carded at 11. Dan, your view on the two sides?
First of all, Sam, I really enjoyed Fingery.
I
liked the kind of amalgamation of finger and injury.
It was entirely deliberate.
Yeah.
Lewis McManus's Fingery.
Exactly. Honestly, I think that could catch on. I really do. I'm really excited, Sam, by both of the teams. We spoke downstairs, didn't we, about Chris Lynn, about David Willey, about AJ Tye, but to talk about Worcestershire for a bit as well. Michael Bracewell, really exciting. He played really well for New Zealand, didn't he, in a different format against England last summer. Was really good. Osama Mir, a lot of experience for Pakistan, big player in the PSL, which is amazing, and everyone enjoys watching leg spin as well, which is great. And then Adam Hose is a great signing from Birmingham. I think he finished 3rd in the T20 run scorers last year. And I mean, we spoke to Craig Harvey before the game as well. He reckons this is like 200 par. So this is built to be a run fest today.
Looking at the Rapids, mentioned those spinners in Bracewell and Mir, as well as Brett D'Oliveira can bowl a bit. Does the seam attack look a little light or maybe a little green?
I think just a little bit inexperienced, if anything. Obviously, Pat Brown had that really good year, the year that the Rapids won it in 2018, but he's probably not been at his best the last 2 years, probably due to injuries and what have you that really stalled momentum, certainly in those quicker bowlers. But that's not to say that they're without potential, certainly. Mitchell Stanley, Adam Finch, not seen that much of them. I think they played fairly frequently last year, but excited to see how they go.
And then let's look at the Northants side. The addition of Willey and Tye into the squad, I just think adds so much balance, don't you think, to the 11? Obviously, they're both brilliant players in their own rights, but they're the options that gives in terms of the order, and particularly I think with Tye at the death bowling, those are great additions, aren't they?
100%, and it's something that I was lucky enough to do a bit of commentary last year, so saw quite a lot of the Steelbacks, but it was something that often let them down when they were in positions where they were well in control of the game, certainly in games where they'd scored 200 plus. One that sticks in my memory quite well is, I think, 217 against the Bears, batting first, and then the Bears chased it down, mainly thanks to Adam Hose, actually, in a massive partnership with Sam Hain, I think it was. And yeah, the bowling was just off a bit. Like, that experience that obviously AJ Tye brings, and also the control at the top from David Willey, will be massively important, and you'd like to think that will stand the Steelbacks in good stead for this season.
Dan, just the one specialist spinner in Graham White, no Fred Heldrick or Alex Russell, but obviously some guys that can bowl spin. So I guess when you're looking to get maybe 8 overs out of your spinners, there's enough in that side with White. If White can bowl his 4, and then you've got Cobb and Zabe.
Yeah, if
and
needed.
Keogh as well.
If needed, Sam. Yeah, there's options, isn't there? But I just kind of feel like pace on is going to be the order of the day, and I think it's going to be really exciting. I know Safe's been working really hard on his finger spin, so will definitely kind of be an option for David Willey. But one last question, I think, before we go live, and then I'm going to stop talking for the power play. Obviously, the 2 titles for Northampton so far in their history, 2013 and 2016. Are we talking about a third? Can we talk about a third?
We can talk about it. At this stage of the season, every team can talk about it. But right now, it's about what happens out in the middle, and that is exactly the stage we've got to, and it will be David Willey from the David Capel end to Northampton legends in that sentence there, and it will be Willey to take the new ball. No great surprises there, Joe?
No, absolutely not. Obviously, we know that threat that we've seen with him with the new ball, even in England colours and most recently in the IPL with RCB. Swinging the ball back in to the right-handers, David Willey.
His knack of taking wickets in that power play is almost second to none, isn't it, in world cricket? And when people talk about, if you get a side 3 down in the power play, then the stats show you lose most of your games. David Willey's a pretty good man to try and get you those 3 wickets.
Oh, he certainly is, and that's exactly what Northampton will be after.
So the opening batters for the Rapids, as carded, Brett D'Oliveira to take strike, and then the Kiwi overseas, fresh from the IPL, Michael Bracewell at the non-striker's end. We've got 1 slip for this opening over, and then a fairly conventional ring field, a man at 3rd, but just the 1 player outside the circle at the moment. David Willey is on the money early, beating the bat. That's a good sign. That in-swing you talked about, Joe?
Yeah, I think just a bit high, wasn't it? You could hear the sound as it rattled into D'Oliveira's thigh pad, I think it was, but great signs. Yeah,
not much going for that, but good to see David Willey appealing as vociferously as we remember him from his last stint here at Wantage Road. He's lost none of his passion and vigour. And that will be the first runs as Graham White is evaded at point.
It's uncharacteristic from Graham White. He's using the absolute gun at backward point. Steelbacks fans over the years will know how good a fielder Graham White is, but that one just evaded him slightly.
1 change in the field for the left-handed Bracewell. Man comes out of the ring and to the point boundary rather than actually inside the ring, so we do now have 2 men outside the 30-yard circle. Oh, a Jaffa from David Willey. These 2 obviously will know each other well from the IPL.
Yeah, that's it. Played together at RCB, as I just mentioned. That's an absolute nut to receive first up, I think, from David Willey. I'm sure he would have delivered a few balls like that in the nets, no doubt.
Wantage Road pretty much packed to the rafters at the moment. People still flooding in. Bit of an advance down the track from Bracewell, statement of intent.
Obviously just having a look at that first one, wasn't he? Knowing in the back of his head that he wants to take David Willey by the scruff of his neck a bit, come down the wicket.
It's a heck of a skill to be able to swing a white ball like that, isn't it? You don't see it often the way, Willey makes it look like a sort of Dukes in April, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's seriously talented with the white ball, that is for sure.
Talking of the Dukes in April, a leave. Don't see those very often.
So watchful from Michael Bracewell.
Can't be easy getting off a plane. I think it was Monday night he arrived in Worcester. Had a chance for a net yesterday, and then you've got to play. I mean, I guess you almost give yourself a free pass, don't you, as a player? If it comes off that game, it comes off. But the preparation has not been ideal. It looks like that's leg byes based on the signal from the umpire. First boundary off the thigh pad of Michael Bracewell. Umpires are Russell Warren and Paul Pollard tonight. How great is it to be back at Wantage Road with a big crowd, the sun shining?
It's what you want as a Northampton. I don't know if you can say born and bred, because it's not quite like that, as Dan alluded to earlier before we came on air. Being born in the Isle of Wight for the first 5 years of my life, but yeah, Northampton girl ever since, and
naturalised.
It's just an awesome place to be on a. There's no better evening for it, is there?
That is an
Not a cloud
absolutely
in the sky.
glorious evening. Once again, the swing beats Bracewell, and that's a great start from David Willey. 1 run off the bat, a wide and 4 leg byes, so just 6 from the opening over. It's a pretty good start to your second chapter at your boyhood club, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, and just I think knowing how skillful he is, there's always going to be that little bit of doubt in the batter's mind about how much he swings the ball, and knowing that there's potentially other bowlers in this power play that the Worcestershire batters can get after, and that's not to take away the talent that Tom Taylor's had. And he's had a pretty good start to the season in Championship cricket, taking quite a few poles, but David Willey with his international experience is something to behold.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point, because actually if you look at the Northants bowling last season, then economy rates were an issue, weren't they? I think only 2 bowlers finished the campaign with economy rates less than 9. So if you're certainly a Worcestershire analyst, you're saying, okay, well, if you can take 24 off David Willey's 4, then you might find the runs elsewhere.
Happy days almost, yeah. That's something that coaches often speak about.
But they've been on the money so far. This is Tom Taylor operating from the Lynn Wilson Centre and Northants keeping it tight. I guess the good thing, as much as Northants would have liked to have won the toss and batted, we assume, the fact that you're all out there for the first 20 overs, you can set the tone for your campaign, can't you? With the the way you throw yourselves about in the field, the way you take your catches, sets the tone for the match, but also for the for the next 13 games. Quick single here, 1 run to D'Oliveira.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Sam, and ones are an absolute win in the power play for any team in T20 cricket, whether you're here at Wantage Road or you're at Eden Gardens in the IPL. It doesn't matter where you are, just dots and ones are an absolute premium in T20 cricket in general, let alone in the power play. Obviously be hungry for wickets. But yeah, it's a very, very good start in the opening 9 balls.
Yeah, a ring of steel from Northants, from the Steelbacks. But there is the first breakage of that ring of steel. 6 runs off the bat of Michael Bracewell. Picked that up well.
Yeah, that was classy, wasn't it?
Little short from Taylor.
Yeah, only slightly. He's almost created the length by going deeper in his crease. You can see here he just takes a couple of steps. 1 back in his crease, 1 over towards off stump, and he's able to just pick that up almost nonchalantly off his legs over the mid-wicket rope. Gets safe Zabe on the boundary out there, mid-wicket. Very, very bright green shoes. See them from a mile off.
He goes for the same sort of shot. Zabe is under it, and he's gone. He tried to repeat the shot from the ball before. It was a bit fuller, and I think it was a top edge. It went straight up. He almost had to get down to try and play the same shot, and just skied it straight up to Zabe, who takes the catch no problem.
Yeah, it was slightly different in the sense that he was trying to paddle it more backward of square rather than the mid-wicket region that he'd hit the ball before. But that's right, he knows that he had to hit that as well, because obviously if he'd have missed it, it probably would have bowled him. So, yeah, but obviously safe save underneath that. Never in doubt, I think. One of the best fielders on the circuit. Took a couple of screamers last season. That's an awesome start for Tom Taylor. And removing the dangerous Michael Bracewell.
So Jack Haynes, the new man for the Rapids. Very exciting young player. There'll be nerves, won't there, from the Worcestershire Rapids, because there's no two ways about it. They had a terrible campaign last year, only 2 wins. And having won the toss and batted at Wantage Road, where you kind of feel like you've got to make the most of that power play, you know, they'll be in that kind of 2 minds of, do you give yourself a few balls to look at, or have you got to go from it ball 1 and then you get a bit of indecision?
Yeah, and that's almost a bit of what we saw as that wraps up the second over there. But you think on a good pitch, first game of the season, you can afford yourself a few balls because you know that you're trusting it's a good wicket. So obviously the longer you're out there, if you just get through the first 10 balls, have a look, see what's going on, rotate the strike, and then you can almost let yourself go, knowing that it's a good wicket and you can clear the ropes as and when.
And
or just do that.
Yeah, exactly. Stand and deliver from Brett D'Oliveira. Takes a step down the track and 1 bounce for. Yeah, and I guess when everyone's talking about 200 par score, as a player, I mean, you can tell me, Joe, but if that's what everyone's saying, then does that add an extra sort of bit of doubt in your mind about how long you can take to start hitting shots like that? You know, you're thinking, well, if we've got to score at 10 and over, then there isn't much time to hang about.
Yeah, I think that's certainly right, and Worcestershire only passed 200 just the once last year.
Back-to-back boundaries for D'Oliveira. And just a touch full that time from David Willey.
Just got his hands through that nicely, didn't he, really? Again, just going a little bit deeper in the crease, creating that fuller length, just able to flay his hands through that offside ring field as we see change in the field. So we've got a deep backward square and a cover out. 2 men outside the circle.
That last ball, which obviously Willey was still pitching it up, hoping for that in swing. It's almost maybe a bit of a signal, because you don't get much, do you, on the ball, lacquer on the ball. A signal that you know you sort of start reverting to more of your mix-ups and things like that, rather than pitching it up and hoping the ball does the work.
Yeah, that's it, and it's telling, isn't it? Even in David Willey's second over, that he's going to that as his kind of plan B. It's okay there as they only come through for a single. Yeah, I think Brett D'Oliveira is obviously a dangerous player in his own right. I think he's won the Rapids T20 Player of the Season award for the past couple of years, and he'll be very much looking to stamp his kind of leadership on the team as he's captain for the first time in the Blast. From the start of the season anyways, obviously they had Moeen Ali last year, who's a big loss to Warwickshire, you would imagine, but
they had a pretty, as Dan alluded to a little earlier, Adam Hose coming the other way. That's a great signing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's always seemed to do pretty well against Steelbacks, certainly in games that I've watched. So yeah, he's a dangerous player.
It's a nice way to get off the mark for Jack Haynes, just pushed out towards mid-off. That completes the over 10 from it. The Rapids 23 for 1 after 3. So one of the first changes that David Willey has made as captain. Have you heard this, Joe?
Go on.
He's in charge of the walkout music for the Steelbacks now.
Oh, nice. I rate that. What was it today?
Let's Do This by Outskirts.
Okay, yeah, nice.
You know it, do you?
Not really.
No, me neither.
I mean, the title speaks for itself, so
yeah,
we'll go with that.
Taylor continuing from the David Capel end. From the Lynn Wilson centre end. 7 off his first over, and that crucial wicket of Michael Bracewell. Worcestershire, a few boundaries, but a lot of dots, and dots are sort of the thing you really want to avoid in T20 cricket, aren't they? It's kind of okay if you can rotate the strike and just, you know, especially with left hand, right hand, just set bowlers off their lines a little bit, and then it opens the door. But if you get bogged down with dots, and that's when life becomes tricky. Yeah,
they really are a premium. Dots, certainly for the bowling side. Steelbacks here, but as a batter, I'll come back to that in a second.
Swing and a miss.
It's well bowled. Although I think if he'd have connected with that, that could have gone in to Clark Road, which is not a site that is rare for T20 games here at Wantage Road. I've seen that quite a few times. Looked like it actually kicked on a bit after it pitched. That delivery from Taylor. But yeah, just going back to the dot balls, you know that as a batter, if you face kind of 3 dots, it's 3 dots to start this over from Tom Taylor, that more often than not something then happens on that 4th ball, whether it's a boundary, whether it's a chance, whether it's a wicket. So that'll be in the back of Jack Haynes' head here. He's obviously a very promising young talent, as we know. He was on that Lions tour to Sri Lanka, wasn't he? He's obviously well regarded.
Yeah, 12 of the first 21 balls have been dots, which feels like a high percentage to me. And pressure, direct hit, and he was gone. That was the pressure telling. He was desperate to get off strike.
There you go, and that's that 4th ball that I was just alluding to there. And Jack Haynes felt like he had to do something then. He's hit it straight to David Willey at extra cover, and he's called the quick single. And yeah, he would have been out by, I'm not sure he would have been in the frame had David Willey have connected.
And of course, David Willey's got form when it comes to direct hits in big T20 games for the Steelbacks. Great start to this over from Tom Taylor. 2 deliveries left. Bowled him! Middle stump out of the ground, and I think, as you've said, Joe, just the pressure building there. 1 off the first 4, and D'Oliveira feels like he's got to manufacture something.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, we saw D'Oliveira was the one to hit the couple of 4s in the previous over, and he's gone to obviously try and play a ramp shot with the 2 men behind the back up. So he's gone to that as his boundary option. And Tom Taylor has been on the money and accurate, and middle stump's cartwheeled out the ground there. That's a brilliant start for the Steelbacks. 24 for 2 Worcestershire, but it brings the dangerous Adam Hose, as we've mentioned, to the crease. But awesome start. I'm sure David Willey will be pleased with how his first 4 overs have gone.
Yeah, 557 runs at a strike rate of 161 last year, of course, including 100 against Steelbacks, wasn't it?
No, I think it was against
Worcestershire. Sorry, yeah, I knew it was one of the 2 teams.
He scored 100 against the Steelbacks in 2020, which is his T20 career best, 119. I think that was the game that ended in a tie at Edgbaston. Absolute thrilling stuff, but he scored something like 63 not out. Yeah, 63 not out in the chase of 218, I think it was, here last year.
Oh, here he is facing his first ball. And once again, Tom Taylor's on the money. They will sneak through for a single. But some good Yorkers there from Tom Taylor to finish over, just 2 runs from it. And that crucial wicket, 25 for 2 off 4. And Northants will be very pleased with their start. Going to get our first change of bowling, and it is our first sight of Australian overseas AJ Tye. excited are you to see him, especially after the way he bowled for Durham last year and then back for Gloucestershire a few seasons ago?
Yeah, he's been pretty prolific whenever he's come over and played in the Blast, to be fair. I think he was leading wicket taker for Durham last year with 21 wickets, and obviously an absolutely potent over in the Big Bash for the Perth Scorchers. They've had a lot of success over the years. I think he's second all-time leading wicket taker in the Big Bash, and it's just a brilliant signing to add to Chris Lynn, and exactly what the Steelbacks need within their ranks.
Lovely shot for 4 from Adam Hose. That's a pretty good way to impose yourself on the new big name signing. Lovely shot, that.
Proper cricket shot, that, wasn't it? Straight past AJ Tye, all the way along the carpet.
Good comeback from AJ Tye.
Yeah, I think you alluded to it's probably most going to have the biggest impact in those death overs. Something that he's quite renowned for in his T20 exploits. Got a good knuckle ball, AJ Tye.
So if you are just joining us, Northamptonshire Steelbacks versus Worcestershire Rapids. Inside edge onto the pad. Live from Wantage Road, the stream powered by Daffabet. Thanks very much to our partners at Daffabet. My name is Sam Keir. On comms with me, Joe Gardner, and joining us a little later on, Dan Jadzovic. And absolutely delighted to bring you these pictures from a gloriously sunny evening here in Northampton. And the Steelbacks have got their 2023 Blast campaign off to a pretty decent start. 29 for 2 Worcestershire after 4.5 overs. Saif Zaib does the fielding at backward square leg. And he gets a round of applause from everyone in the Jackson Grundy. Appreciative crowd always here at Wantage Road on T20 nights.
Yeah, they certainly get louder as the evening goes on. I'm not sure if that's coupled with intake of beverage consumed or not, but
or just lintoxication. Dan's
that's
face.
a good one as well, actually.
Chance here, but no, just wide of Zaid, and that'll be 4 runs. And that's Jack Haynes' first boundary. Yeah, I've got a list of Chris Lynn puns you'll be absolutely delighted to hear.
Can't wait to hear them, Sam. Jack Haynes done very well to get that behind square. It was a very full delivery from AJ Tye, and he's just managed to dig it out off his pads almost. And
well, look, from the way he played it, you thought it was going almost straight to Zaid, but he'd managed to get it super fine, hadn't he? Goes again towards the terraced houses. 6 runs. Going to see a few of those this season, I think.
yeah, that was quite a clean hit from the bat of Jack Haynes. Again, just going deep in the crease, moving across to off stump to create that angle. A shot we see a lot in T20 cricket, but he picked that up nicely. Nice way to finish the over.
Yeah, 15 from it. Not the greatest start from AJ Tye.
5 overs down, 15 to go in the first innings.
Yeah, interesting change of tactic from recent seasons where Josh Cobb would often open the bowling in the power play. David Willey sort of saying, no, I'll take it from here. He takes over the captaincy, he's going to take over the new ball as well. But well, it certainly seemed to work reasonably well.
Yeah, I must admit, I can't remember the last time I would have known both opening bowlers to have 2 overs each in the power play.
Yeah.
Often like to mix and match, and you're absolutely right. It's Josh Cobb with his little offies often to start, but we've got Graham White here.
And he is greeted with another 6, this time from Adam Hose. And Worcestershire just picking up a little bit of pace here.
Yeah, I think Graham White will be pretty disappointed with that delivery. I mean, it was down the leg side, half volley almost, and Adam Hose is helping himself to sweep over square leg boundary. Yeah, that was help yourself stuff from Graham White. I'm sure he'll be looking to bounce back here.
Shouts of 2, but Josh Cobb is in like a flash from long on. Keeps it to 1. Just talk us through this field to the right-handed Haynes. Joe, we've got 5 in the ring on the offside. 2 sort of covering behind square on the onside. And then 2 men out in the deep at cow corner and long on. Guess it kind of makes sense to the slow left armour.
Yeah, I think with that natural angle in to the right-hander, I think it's a pretty solid field in the power play, to be fair. Knowing that you want to avoid any width outside off stump with those 5 up on the offside. And yeah, you can see that that's his plan. Every ball's been on leg stump or even beyond leg stump because the batters have been setting up outside leg stump. So other than that first ball, he's bowling to his field well.
He gets it over the man at square leg this time, does Haynes, and he picks up another boundary. And that is the 50 up.
It's smart batting from Jack Haynes, to be honest. Slightly different tactic, moving across to the off stump and allows him to access that square leg boundary, brings a sweep into play. A little bit of risk, but it's T20 cricket, isn't it?
He manages to bisect 2 of those men in the offside ring. David Willey does his best, but that is another boundary. And that is also, the scoreboard suddenly said 5 runs. I don't know where that's come from, but it is 17 off the over. And that concludes the power play. Rapids 58 for 2, Adam Hose 14 off 8, Jack Haynes 22 off 12, and an expensive couple of overs to finish the power play from the Steelbacks. I'll hand over to Dan. Joe's going to take over lead comms.
Yeah, Worcester have done pretty well to recover, obviously losing a couple of wickets in the power play after those first 3 or 4 overs after Tom Taylor had dismissed Brett D'Oliveira. These 2 have rebuilt nicely from 24 for 2. Change of bowling at the David Capel end. See that James Sale's going to be coming into the attack. His home blast debut. Shout down the leg side for caught behind, but it's been given as a wide. Umpire's happy that didn't clip pad nor bat.
That's a classic, isn't it? Absolute classic. Try and get away with a stinker first up down the leg side. We'll appeal just in case that we get away with it.
It's well bowled from Sales, to be fair. Good length. Not much Adam Hose can do with that. So James Sales, he made his blast debut for the Steelbacks in the first game at Edgbaston last year, and it was the only game he played, and it's on the unfortunate end. Paul Sterling biffing.
There's not many people around the world that you probably wouldn't want to bowl at on debut, is there, than Paul Sterling. That is a guy that, well, I mean, without being too unkind, I don't think he enjoys running that much. So 6s and 4s are pretty much the order of the day, aren't they?
Yeah, that was all he was dealing with, and I was on commentary at the time. He'd hit poor James Sales for 5 6s, and you were just praying that the last one didn't cross the rope on the full, and thankfully it didn't. Short and helped round corner to the man at fine.
James had a really good start to the championship this year, though, hasn't he? He's kind of found himself a really kind of canny knack of picking up those big wickets, like just breaks partnerships, which has been really, really good to see in the couple of appearances that he's had so far.
Yeah, just almost in that enforcer type role, isn't it? I'm sure he'll be looking to make his mark. in this Steelbacks 11. They come back for 2. Yeah, quite comfortably. That's a big boundary out there, but Safe Sabe and Graham White did well between the pair of them. Didn't quite stop the 2.
No, I think those shoes that Safe is wearing tonight, I think they must add a good couple of mile an hour across the grass, I think.
Go faster spikes written all over them, haven't they?
They are absolutely rascal. Could you see yourself rocking a pair of those?
Oh, I mean, I think it'd be apt if I had orange ones for Sunrisers.
Yeah.
I think that could work.
I'm sure they do them.
Yeah, I think they do. Maybe I should get myself in the market. That was a nice, well-directed bouncer there from James Sales, and we know that he's got that in him from what we've seen of him in Championship cricket. That's a plan that he likes to execute. Short ball. Last ball of the over. It's a much better start to his home blast debut. Just a 5 from James Sales' first over. No boundary conceded, and I'm sure he'll be a lot happier with that.
Yeah.
Those scars that he might have had from Edgbaston last year, but I'm sure he's learnt a lot in the past year as a player, and obviously now this bowling group gets to learn from David Willey being captain, and obviously all the experience T20 cricket for England in franchises, Perth, RCB, Chennai. He's been all over, hasn't he, David Willey? So it's excellent. As Graham White, he's in for another over at the Lynn Wilson centre end.
Very expensive
Excellent.
first over, wasn't it, from Graham White? 17 runs came off it. So that over from James Sales just went for 5, I think. So a really nice way for Northampton to put a bit of pressure back on Worcester. Looks a touch easier to bowl now that you can have a few players outside the ring, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're always, as a bowler, you're certainly always looking to get out of the power play unscathed as much as possible. Well, this has been a good, what, 9 balls since the end of the power play. No boundaries conceded, and as I said earlier, ones and dots are always a premium in T20 cricket. It's an excellent shot from Jack Haynes. Reverse sweep off of probably what was going down the leg side, and he's managed to get it all the way along the floor past Josh Cobb at backward point for 4. And that's the kind of, I guess, potential that he'll be looking to deliver across the course of this competition.
Yeah, he fetched that reverse sweep, didn't he, from miles outside leg stump, and gave Safe absolutely no chance down in front of the, I think they're the enthusiastic beverage consumers down there in the sunshine. But yes, Jack Haynes, I mean, he scored 235 runs last year, so it kind of feels like he had a breakthrough season and still really young.
Yeah, he certainly did. Clearly a very well regarded player. I think he was involved in the Oval Invincibles for at least one game in the 100 last year as well. But yeah, Safe Sabe had no chance in getting that reverse sweep for 4. Always going away from him with the way that the ball was spinning. Just the 1 over for James Sales. It's AJ Ty returning for a little middle over spell. A couple of sweatbands on his arms. Bit of flair from him as well. Do you reckon you could wear a sweatband when you bowled down?
No one wants to see me bowl, Joe. Absolutely nobody is paying tickets to come and watch me bowl, that is for sure. Speaking of tickets though, Joe, they are selling very quickly for Friday night against Durham.
Oh. I think if that was a direct hit, it would have been out, right?
I think it would have been. I think, who was the fielder there?
I think it was...
Is that Tom
David
Taylor?
Willey with the throw.
Yeah, I think Tom Taylor, might have just kind of hit the stumps with his hands before the ball got there, I think. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think the ball hit it anyway, but...
Variation we saw from AJ Ty and just nudged to the edge of the circle. They managed to come back for a couple. Tickets selling fast for Friday.
Apparently so. So much so that we're not convinced there's going to be many on the gate, if any on the gate. So if you do want to come down on Friday night, and I mean, if the weather's going to be like this, why wouldn't you? Get them online, and you do save yourself a few quid too. So what you don't spend on tickets, you can spend on ice creams and amazing other concessions around the ground.
Could be a chance. Yeah, well caught from James Sales at wide long on. I think that was another... I think AJ Ty's bowled a different variation every ball of this over so far, and he's just gone for the short ball there, and Jack Haynes has to go. He hasn't managed to get hold of that. Went pretty high, that one, didn't it?
It did. I must admit, when that came off the bat, Joe, I thought that was going straight out of the ground into the gardens. But yeah, as you said, AJ's kind of really mixed it up in this over so far, and that one was short and it was fast, and yeah, Jack Haynes couldn't quite get his hands through it to send it over the rope, which is what he was trying to do. In terms of runs on the board, though, for Worcester, I mean, they're going at just under 9 and over. They're going pretty well.
Yeah, not bad at all. Kashif Ali comes to the crease at number 5. Part of the South Asian Cricket Academy last year, and managed to bag his first professional contract with Worcestershire middle of last summer. Played a few T20s from last year.
A really, really nice young lad as well, Kashif. I got the pleasure of meeting him last summer. Really, really polite, really, really enthusiastic about cricket, and so made up for him that he's got this contract with Worcestershire.
Yeah, it's great to see, isn't it? Just providing platform for players to go on and get pro contracts. This is very good over so far from AJ Ty. Just what Steelbacks fans would have wanted, certainly after his first over being a little bit more expensive than we'd perhaps imagined. 7 matches last year, Kashif Ali, 140 runs at 28.
MV Play's got this down as a Rob Keogh over, so he's put on a yard of pace since the last county championship game, hasn't he?
Yeah, scoreboard's all over the shop. There's a brilliant over from AJ Ty, and again, as I said, I'm pretty sure he bowled 6 different balls there, and that's exactly what his T20 game is based all around, not giving the batter a chance to settle. That's what makes him so potent to face as a batter, and he's a real threat, and that's why he's taken the best part of 300 and now 302 T20 wickets in his T20 career. Another over from Graham White.
Is Graham White likely to bowl through here, Joe? Is that kind of what his role would be in this Northampton team?
Yeah, I was surprised that he had the last over the power play before. He's often been very much a middle overs bowler. The leading wicket taker for the Steelbacks in T20 history for the club. Obviously had that period where he nipped off up the road to Notts. But yeah, he's in both of the title-winning seasons. Graham White had a prominent role to play, so he'll certainly be looking to get amongst the wickets in the first game of the season. Obviously, it's the only format that he plays for the club now in his role as player coach.
A bit of competition, isn't there, between Graham White and David Willey as to Northampton's leading T20 wicket takers, I think, now David's returns?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Dave's taken 71 wickets. So I think he's about 19 behind. Pretty sure Graham White's taken 90 wickets. Yeah. 90 wickets at 28.37. Best of 4 for 14 against Gloucester in 2013. That first year that the Steelbacks won the title, and David Willey's taken 71 wickets at very shrewd 19.8. Found the gap nicely there as Adam Hose. The pocket between long on and deep mid wicket, shoveled that into that gap. That's a good bit of batting.
It's destructive, isn't he? We've got a new addition to the live stream this year, the Intelligent Cricket Win Predictor. Northants fans will be pleased to know that is showing at 58% for Northants at the moment, so good news. Could change quite quickly with a guy of Adam Hose's calibre at the crease, mind you.
Yeah, he's an excellent player. As we've already alluded to, a couple of T20 centuries. I mean, they're obviously becoming a lot more prominent in T20 cricket now, as we see. It's just very much a batter's game, isn't it? As bowlers will tell you, more and more batters are scoring centuries. But to actually have a couple to your name is no mean feat whatsoever, and Adam Hose, a brilliant player. Sales returns to David Capeland.
Yeah, so 83 for 3. Now the score for Worcestershire, just about 8.5-ish and over on this stream powered by Daffabet here at Wantage Road.
And the Steelbacks will be well aware of how big a wicket Adam Hose is. Graham White does well there at deep mid wicket to stop any chance of a couple.
Yeah, as you say,
through for a single.
As you say, if Northants can pick up one more here, Ed Pollock is carded next with Ben Cox afterwards, who neither I don't think had particularly good seasons last year.
No, you're right, not by the standards that I'm sure they set for themselves, and Ben Cox was very prominent in the year that Worcester won the title in 2018, but Ed Pollock certainly, only 103 runs at just an average of 11. It's quite surprising when I was doing my research on him. And that is out of the park, into the gardens, deposited from Kashi Fally. That was a very, very clean hit, wasn't it, Dan?
First one of the year, Joe, into the gardens, and he's absolutely smoked it, isn't he? I don't think anybody queuing up for their food even got slightly nervous there. That was over their head by some yards. That was massive.
You can hear the sound off the bat. You knew that that was going, and Emilio Gay heads out with the box of balls. The umpires will be checking which one. Looks most like the one that's just been deposited into the garden. It's actually quite a funny one last year when, I'm not sure if it's the same house, but Chris Lynn hit plenty into those houses last year, and someone managed to capture the moment that Chris Lynn deposited one on their Ring doorbell. And it was just a tremendous bit of footage.
So that activated the motion sensor, did it? The 6 coming down into the garden.
Yeah, to be like, oh, there's activity. And then you check and it's just this bouncing white ball.
It wasn't the Amazon package I was expecting.
Great reply from James Sales. Just digs that one a little bit shorter. That's naturally what tends to happen when when you've just been carted out the park. You're either going to go super full, wide in terms of wide Yorker, or dig it in short. That's exactly what James Sales did there. Oh. Didn't quite get there, did he, Ricardo Vasconcelos? But it was an excellent chance created as such, but it would have been phenomenal if it had made up all of that ground, dived forward and taken that catch. But not a bad way to finish the over with a single. 92 for 3, the Rapids, after 11 overs.
Yeah, it's a real strength, isn't it, for James Sales, that shorter ball. It's kind of it looks like it actually surprises the batter a little bit. That one, a bit unfortunate, kind of was always dying on Vasco coming in from the boundary, but yeah, it kind of got to that stage, and I think going through his mind is there a dive here, is there not? Just didn't quite get there, did he? But half a chance anyway.
David Willey coming back into the attack. Change of ends for him for his 3rd over. Only gone just 12 runs so far. I'm sure he'll be looking to add to his wicket tally. T20 cricket. Chance? No. 6. Didn't sound like he quite got all of that one, I must admit, Kashi Fali, and he's just boundary a little bit shorter on the western side of the ground. Didn't quite get all of it, but it went all the way. That's the first boundary, first 6 of David Willey's return to Steelbacks. Again, as we saw from previous over from James Sales being hit for a 6 by Kashi Fali, David Willey also goes short with the next ball.
He's an exciting batter to watch, Kashi Fali. There's a whole lot of action going on, isn't there? That one, the 6 there, he's just gone outside off stump and split the fielders and walloped him down towards mid-wicket. That shorter ball there, hasn't tried to get out of the way of it, still tried to play it over short 3rd.
And he's found the man at deep mid-wicket this time, and it's Rob Keogh with the catch. Never in doubt when you see Rob Keogh underneath the catching opportunity. And David Willey has his first wicket in Steelbacks colours on his return.
I've dropped the old commentator's curse on Kashi there, haven't I?
Absolutely,
just
sold him down the river.
Bigging him up, telling everybody how excited he was to play, and very next ball. But hey, I'm on the Northamptonshire payroll today, so it's not a bad thing. You've obviously played here a number of times, Joe. What are we looking at kind of dimensions-wide around the ground, roughly speaking? Appreciate you haven't been out there with your tape measure as you've like sprinted back from Sunrise's training.
I'd say this is one of like the most well-balanced grounds in terms of not being too short straight. Obviously the pitch that we're playing on today is pretty central, although that boundary that Kashi Fali's just been dismissed on is probably the short side, and he didn't quite get hold of it, but markedly slower there from David Willey for Ben Cox's first delivery. Worcestershire 98 for 4. Yeah, I'd say it's actually one of the more well-balanced grounds that I've played at, certainly. You get value for your shots along the floor. It's a pretty quick outfield, but it's not a ground where it's only going to be 1 or 4. So just promotes good cricket, I'd say. Certainly speaking from my experience anyway.
Yeah, and a very good 22 yards in the middle of it as well, which does wonders for the game of T20.
Yeah, Craig Harvey and his team have produced some excellent wickets here over the past few years. That's going to go for 4. Split the man at fine leg and deep backward square. He timed that beautifully, Ben Cox. Gets off the mark with a 4 off at just outside leg stump, but it's very, very well timed leg glance to finish that David Willey over, and it brings up the 100 for the Rapids.
It's a bit of a gift.
Final ball of the 12th over.
Bit of a gift, wasn't it, I think, for Ben Cox to get off the mark. David Willey stood there with his hands on his head afterwards. I think he knew that it really wasn't the one that he wanted to bowl there, was it?
No, similar to the ball that we saw from Graham White to Graham White's first ball to Adam Hose. Bit of a gift. But that's okay. Got the wicket of Kashi Fally in the over. Tom Taylor, change of ends for him. From the David Capel end. 2 for 9 off of his first couple of overs.
You'd take those stats all year, wouldn't you, bowling in the power play? 4.5 and over, couple of wickets, thanks very much.
Thanks very much indeed. 15 wickets Tom Taylor took in the blast last year. Average of 26, best of 4 for 27.
Handy batter as well to have coming in down the order, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is. When in his debut match, I think it was a game at Edgbaston, scored a relatively quick fire 50 not out. Bit of footwork from Tom Taylor, wrong-footed the fielders there, and they managed to come through for a single.
Do you reckon that first touch counts towards the football game the Northants lads play before the matches as well? I know they have to wear a bit of a dodgy shirt, I think, if they lose the game. I just wonder whether that first touch gets included. James maybe will be just adding that to his analytics.
Hose, like he was trying to send that into the houses that we'd seen Kashi Fally deposit James Sales into previous over from this end. Final few balls for me, and I'll make way for Sam to close out the innings.
What's Jovis saying?
If I had to give you a percentage right now, I'm saying 72% Steelbacks.
Okay. And what kind of score do you reckon Worcester are going to be at, kind of at their 20 overs? 106 for 4 now with, what, 7 to go?
They need to get up to at least 180, you'd imagine, to be competitive, as that will certainly help, as Adam Hose with his long levers just helps that round the corner, splits the men again at fine leg and deep backward square for 4. He moves on to 37. Yeah, I was actually checking out their average score batting when they batted first last year, and it was 165, and I mean they'll definitely be looking to get at least 20 or 30 more than that batting first here at Wantage Road. Yeah. It's gone all the way as well, I think. Could have been a crowd catch on the card by the food tent, but went through the hands of the spectator. Just a low full toss there from Tom Taylor, and Adam Hose helps himself to that. So back-to-back boundaries for him. To close out the over, I'll make way for Sam with a few words from Dan.
Thanks, Joe. Yep, Sam will be joining me for the remainder of the Worcestershire innings. The score is 116 for 4. James Sales is going to bowl from the Lynn Wilson centre end, and Ben Cox, wicket-keeper Ben Cox, is on strike. He's currently 6 not out, with Adam Hose 37 off 27 at the non-strikers end. 116 for 4. Joe reckons 180 is what they'll need, and that will still be 20 short of the groundsman's part. Slower ball from James Sales, who does the fielding off his own bowling and keeps that down to a single. Sam, welcome back.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I'm with Joe. I think Steelbacks would have bitten your hand off for 116 for 4 off the first 13.
Interestingly, Intelligent Cricket have currently got the Rapids at 51.4%. So maybe this 117 for 4, as Joe's disagreeing with the statistics. Sails in and down the leg side. That is a wide ball. Have to bowl that one again.
Huge amount riding on Adam Hose's shoulders for the Rapids now. Pretty good debut in a Worcestershire shirt so far, 43 off 28. But I think if they're going to get a competitive score, then he needs to be there right till the end.
Backs away outside leg stump and straight back at James Sales this time. Yeah, and they've got Ed Pollock left to come, who I believe opened the batting in the T20 Blast for Worcestershire last season. Carded at 8 is the overseas Usama Mir, who has played a lot of cricket in the PSL, representing Pakistan as well. Averages 8 in T20 cricket, so potentially a long tail. And this time across his stumps, that's gone down the leg side. And that's another wide. Adam Hose looking to target that shorter leg side boundary.
What struck me as an over that could be a turning point was Andrew Ty's second over.
Full this time, dropped at mid-off. David Willey puts the catch down. Adam Hose on 43, and that has been grasped by the Steelbacks captain. How expensive could that end up being?
Yeah, talking of potential turning points, I was going to say, having got a bit of tap in his first over, to come back and then only go for 3 in his second and pick up that wicket. But yeah, dropping that one there.
Down leg side and down towards Graham White here at long on. Does the brilliant bit of fielding and keeps that down to 2. Saves the boundary. Ripple of applause around the ground. Looks quite nice over by the groundsman's Maisonette, Beer Tent and Mem Saab as well, Sam.
Yeah, that was a very nice pre-match meal from the Mem Saab tent. King prawn tandoori on naan. Yes, please.
Delicious.
Yeah, not many better places to watch T20 cricket from than that side of Wantage Road.
Sales shorter this time. I think he's just spotted Adam Hose there, isn't he, coming down the track to him, and Sales has adjusted nicely with a slower, shorter ball there.
Great stuff from Sales. He's mixing up nice. You know, that, like you said, Dan, that bouncer just catches people off guard. It's quicker. He takes the pace off with the, you know, the fingers over the ball. You know, for a guy making his home debut, it's just his second blast game.
Gives himself space this time and goes over the offside, over the fielder at cover, and that's 4 more for Adam Hose, who moves to 49 off 33. The score 125 for 4 off 14. Quite a long over from James Sales with those wide deliveries. And unfortunately for Northants, finished brilliantly by Worcestershire's Adam Hose.
I know Birmingham Bears have a very strong lineup, and you know they obviously had a couple go their way with Barnard and Ali, but letting Hose go, I know he wanted to move for red ball cricket because he hadn't really played much red ball cricket, but in T20 cricket, the guy, you know, he's something else, and at the moment Worcestershire are reaping the benefits.
AJ Ty is back, and that is into the leg side by Ben Cox, who comes back for 2. There's a chance for a run out, but I think the throw was just off target from Vasconcelos. Otherwise, I think that could have been interesting. The match sponsor today is ComSave, stream powered by Daffabet, and I wonder how good of a view those people up in those hot air balloons have got of the county ground today. And I wonder whether they've had to pay a ticket for that kind of access. That looks like VIP seats up there, Sam. Slower ball and into the leg side again.
Yeah.
Cox. It's one.
If you haven't been to Wantage Road, when you turn up, there's 2 entrances. One which is for a seat in the ground, and then for a £2 supplement, you can go up in a hot air balloon. You can't see much of the cricket, but
Depends how good your binoculars are.
I tell you what, you might be in danger with some of the shots we saw here last season, even up all the way up there.
They won't be hanging about when Chris Lynn gets a bat in hand, that's for sure. I think he'll be a bit gutted that Cashew Valley was the first person to put one in the gardens. Down the leg side this time, and that is 4 for Adam Hose. A gift from AJ Ty, and that's 50 for Worcestershire's Adam Hose. 53 off 34 balls, striking to 155, and that includes 5 fours.
Yeah, top knock from Adam Hose. What a way to announce yourself to Worcestershire supporters. Saw a couple in earlier, but hopefully lots of them joining us on the stream. Well, you've got a good one here in Adam Hose, and yeah, picked up where he left off last year, really.
Absolutely,
Different shirt, same result.
Do we know what was the total when he got dropped, Sam? Do you know?
I can tell you.
Outside the leg stump this time. Tries to give himself room and just picks up 1.
It was 13 runs ago, so quick maths, 119.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, third legal delivery of Sales' last over.
AJ Ty then with 2 left in his 3rd over. Wide outside off stump, and Ben Cox plays that out to the sweeper on the offside, and that is just a single added to the score.
Yeah, and he was on 43.
Current run rate just over 9 now for Worcestershire, so this partnership is building and this total is building as well.
Yeah, I reckon the picnic tables next to the Jackson Grundy, that's where I'd be getting myself.
Prime seats. That's short from AJ Ty, and Adam Hose doesn't get hold of it, but he does not come back for the second. Keeps the strike, so we'll face up in the next over.
There they are on the picnic tables. That car looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, what a place to be, that. As that the young lad there has just lifted the sunglasses off just to kind of highlight how lovely it is down in that bottom corner. So 135 for 4 then the score, Sam. 5 overs to go. Graham White's going to bowl his 4th over. We've been told 200 is par here. They're going just over 9s. How close do you reckon they're going to get to that 200 off the next 30 balls?
As I said, so much of it depends on the man who just smears that one into the onside, Adam Hose, because, well, with Pollock coming in next, it could be a brilliant move. If he comes in with 2-3 overs to go, then, you know, his way of playing is go hard from ball 1, and he could end up being the ideal finisher. But if he comes in now, then that's still plenty of cricket, quarter of the innings. And if he was to go early, then I think you are into the tail.
I think it does look like quite a fairly long tail for Worcestershire in comparison to what Northampton have offered up today, as Ben Cox has just swept that last ball into the leg side. Worcestershire would need to go about 13 and over, Sam, to get up to 200 from this stage.
Yeah, by no means impossible, but
very wide from Graham White, and is signalled and confirmed by the standing umpire, so we'll have to bowl that one again.
I think the Steelbacks will be a little disappointed with quite how many wides they've bowled so far. Fine margins, of course, but how many have we had so far? I think that was the 5th or 6th.
Straight this time, and that's powered into the leg sides, and that is going to beat James Sales. That's 4 more for Adam Hose and 4 more for Worcestershire into the 140s now. He's absolutely muscled that one down towards deep mid-wicket, hasn't he?
Yeah, you just wonder what's going through skipper David Willey's head, having put him down relatively simple chance on 43. And he is now on 60 from just 38 balls.
Wide again. I think that probably would have been another wide, Sam, if Adam Hose hadn't have played that one. Just curious as a question to you and anybody listening, and I'm sure Joe can kind of weigh on this one in the innings break as well, but at what level of cricket do you have to get to before cow corner doesn't become cow corner anymore and it becomes deep mid-wicket? Obviously this is deep mid-wicket today. What I played yesterday, it was definitely cow corner. I'm just wondering at what point in the middle we have to adjust. And that's swept into the leg side. Should just be one, as that's fielded by Vasconcelos.
If you clear the rope, then it's deep mid-wicket. If you're caught by the man running in off the rope, then you hold out at cow corner. I won't ask what happened to you yesterday.
No, I'll only start bragging, Sam. It's fine. Graham White, last ball of his over. And that's pretty full. That's gone straight up in the air. White's underneath it, and he takes a great catch off his own bowling. The umpires are having a look at each other. I think there's been a nod from square leg, so I'm pretty sure that is going to be given out, but they are converging as the Northampton fielders converge on Graham White and help him up. But that is a wicket, and that is Adam Hose has gone. The massive wicket for 61, caught and bowled by Graham White. Great innings and a great catch to finish it.
Wonderful catch. I have to say, I was looking at the umpires thinking, was that above waist height? It was pretty touch and go, but I'll tell you what, Graham White did well not to assume it wasn't. That is tight, but in the book it's out, and a fabulous effort from Graham White to take the catch after will not be what he will admit himself was not his finest delivery. No. What is it they say?
They do say that, Sam, and not one that I'm prepared to say live on...
What, filth takes wickets?
Well, I don't necessarily think that is the exact saying, is it? 144 for 5. Ed Pollock is the new man at the crease to join Ben Cox. Sam's tipped him as the finisher. James Sales is going to bowl from the David Capel end. So you're expecting fireworks from Ed Pollock.
I think that's what Worcestershire hope he's going to provide. It's an interesting move. He spent most of his career, like you say, at the top of the order. He had a very disappointing season last year. At one stage, he had the highest strike rate in T20 cricket in the world.
Wow.
190.
That is outrageously good. James Sales then to Ben Cox. Slower ball out the back of the hand, and that is played powerfully into the offside and brilliantly fielded out on the boundary in front of the one, the only Wendell Pemberton. Gives a flag wave in support. I think someone's given him a loudspeaker or a megaphone down there, which I kind of feel might be a bit of a rogue decision. But I'm glad to see him in.
Always good to see Wendell. Yeah, Ed Pollock's career strike rate down at 160 now, so still pretty impressive, but it's just how many rather than how quickly is the issue for him recently. He's got a terrible record at Wantage Road, 22 runs in 5 innings previously.
But it sounds like they happen quite quickly, so there is a positive there. I like that, yeah, it's dropped to 160 as if that's a negative.
Well, he quite literally burst onto the scene, didn't he, in that first year when he was obviously at Birmingham Bears. He's kind of, I think he himself admits that people kind of worked him out. He's a very leg side dominant player. So this is a new role for him, and hopefully from his point of view it reinvigorates him. From a Northamptonshire point of view, maybe not tonight.
Yeah, well, here we go then. Ed Pollock to face his first ball. Leg side, we've got deep fine leg, a deep mid wicket, and a long on as well, and a deep backward square. And that's outside off stump from James Sales, and Ed Pollock beats the dive at backward point, and he picks up 4 off his first ball.
400 strike rate.
400 strike rate is creeping back up. 150 now up for Worcestershire off 16.5 overs. Is that? I mean, 180 looks pretty on about now, Sam, I would say.
Yeah, but as we were saying, you know, is that even par?
Gives himself a bit of room and plays that one out to Safe Zaib, who does the fielding and keeps that down to 1. Told you those green boots, they definitely make him quicker across the outfield. They're not taking 2 onto Safe.
So Joe would have orange. What would you have?
I like a bit of fluoro yellow.
Tough to keep clean.
Very tough to keep clean,
especially if you're playing in sort of April on an outfield that's taken a bit of rain.
And that is flicked off his pads, and Vasco does the fielding down at fine leg. That's 1 more added to the total. I don't think fluoro yellow shoes go particularly well with whites, mind you. Would you believe, Sam, that Div 7 doesn't quite come into the calibre of coloured kits? But it does. It's confirmed that it is cow corner. Sale, slower ball down the leg side. That'll be another wide added to the tally.
Yeah, his 4th wide of the night. Having actually bowled pretty well. I think if you're finishing with an economy rate below 9 at Wantage Road, then you've not had a bad night.
Slower ball again. Ed Pollock drops that one into the offside and picks up a single. We'll keep the strike for the 17th over. That's James Sales done today. 4 overs, no maidens, none for 35. As you said, Sam, bowled really quite well with a couple of wides in there, and I think those extra deliveries have just punished his figures tonight, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, it is, as a percentage, 4 wides, it's actually quite a lot. But let's not take away from what was otherwise a pretty good home debut for the young man, just 20 years old. His first appearance in front of, a big crowd here at Wantage Road. Pressure will have been on, and he's shown his box of tricks, and I think can be pretty pleased with the way he's come out of things.
Yeah, Graham White obviously finished his last over and finished his work for the day. He picked up 1 in his 4 overs. Tom Taylor is going to bowl his 4th over from the Lynn Wilson Centre end. David Willey directing traffic as to where he wants his fielders, and another absolute banging tune from the Northants DJ in between overs there, Sam. Some 90s cheese going on. Short from Taylor, picked up into the leg side, splits the fielders, and I think that's just gone for 4. Hasn't quite got it. It's 4 runs, Ed Pollock. He's picked that up really well and monstered it into the leg side.
Yeah, pretty impressive first 4 balls from Ed Pollock. He's adapting to this finisher role that we've described pretty nicely so far, and I think Steelbacks would do well to get rid of him.
Full 6. That is massive from Ed Pollock over the groundsman's maisonette, as we've dubbed it here on the live stream, and that's huge.
Yeah, just missed his lengths there, Tom Taylor. He's bowled that Yorker really well tonight, but that one he was striving again. Looking at Pollock batting deep in his crease, but he just got it a little wrong, and Ed Pollock did the rest. Joe Gardner is directing the field from up here in the commentary box.
Short and wide from Tom Taylor this time. That is a no ball signalled from the standing umpire. 1 for the over as well.
So not a free hit. It's only in ICC games that you now get a free hit for the head height.
Yeah, why would we make this game any more complicated than what it already is by having some rules in some games and some rules in not others? Tom Taylor anyway bowling the extra 1. Full this time, big appeal, but I think that's hit him outside leg stump, and Ed Pollock survives. Good Yorker that time though, Sam.
Yeah, that's definitely been the his strong point tonight, Tom Taylor, and that was, I tell you what, not that far from hitting him in line, but probably correct decision just outside the line. So we imagine, I guess, Willey and Ty to bowl the last 2?
I suspect so. 2 pressure overs to the 2 guys that are going to be on the big bucks here at Northants. Full again, and he's missed his length, and Ed Pollock has not missed out this time. That is over deep mid-wicket to the floodlight, and 6 more for Ed Pollock.
Yeah, what a revelation Ed Pollock has been batting down the order. 22 off 8. He's doubled his Wantage Road haul.
He has. Check that strike rate as well, Sam.
Yeah.
275. I mean, Tom Taylor, I think, has assisted that slightly in this over so far, but Ed Pollock still had to put it away. 173 for 5 now the score.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Taylor continues to try and find that Yorker, or whether he decides maybe pace off back of a length.
180 looks pretty on at this point, doesn't it? Full again. Just, I think, the one this time. Well fielded at deep mid-wicket. Tom Taylor be looking to get out of his over here unscathed. Ben Cox will face the last ball. He's 17 not out of 14. So 13 balls to go. Worcester could be creeping towards that 200. They could be getting a bit closer than what we thought they would be at half time.
Yeah, it's been a really productive last third of the innings. Some big overs.
And Tom Taylor's picked him up. Ben Cox goes, trying to be creative, and Tom Taylor hits the top of the stumps, picks up the wicket. The Rapids now 6 down. I think he's played that on, hasn't he, Sam?
He has. I think he was expecting the Yorker, and that's clever bowling from Tom Taylor, just to bring his length back, and yeah, played on by Ben Cox. That's a big wicket after an expensive over. I think Tom Taylor can be pretty pleased to have finished it off with that wicket. 3 for 42 from his 4, so a bit expensive, mainly because of that last over, but 3 wickets, not to be sniffed at.
No, bowled those 2 amazing overs in the power play, didn't he, where he picked up 2 for 9, and as you said, just that last over just spoilt the figures somewhat. So AJ Ty is going to bowl the 19th over from the David Capel end. Pakistan international Osama Mir has come out to the middle to join Ed Pollock for Worcestershire. So AJ Ty to Pollock. And that's full outside the off stump. And Ed Pollock can't connect. So dot ball for Northampton, the Steelbacks.
Just keeping an eye on the cut-off. So the last over has to be started by 7:48. And we are, according to my watch, 7:44. So they should be okay.
Full again, and that is out. AJ Ty picks up his 2nd wicket for Northamptonshire. He picks up the danger man, Ed Pollock. He's gone for a really exciting 23 off 10, and Worcestershire Steelbacks are now 174 for 7.
Massive wicket, and that is what you are paying your overseas player to do. Crunch moment. Another 2 overs of Ed Pollock, and like you say, 200 was on the cards.
Was that one of AJ Ty's deliveries from his bag of tricks, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's that push it out wide, that sort of Yorker length out wide with a bit of pace taken off, and forces Pollock to reach for it. No pace on the ball, or relative lack of pace on the ball, and just spoons it up. Good cricket, and that is what 303 or 4 T20 wickets worth of experience brings you.
And counting. Which is what all Northants fans will be hoping for this summer. He's a real guy that could definitely take you to finals day, couldn't he, with his experience and his skill that he possesses.
Punchy, Dan. Game 1.
Could. I said could. AJ Ty, slower ball this time, and that is a dot ball. Yeah. So a wicket and a dot ball.
Other than that, other than his 2nd over, which went for 15, he has been exceptional. Ty. Lewis McManus from behind the stumps, I think, being picked up on our effects. Every dot ball here, lads, and as we discussed earlier, dot balls don't just mean no run, they also mean much more pressure on the next ball.
Full Yorker from AJ Ty. There's a bit of a run as a mix-up. Oh, he's missed a sitter.
It was like Diana Ross in the '94 World Cup opening ceremony.
I was thinking that was more Carnu in front of goal, I thought.
Oh no.
He'd have been out by miles, wouldn't he?
I like the fact he then decided to kick the stumps over.
Well, you got to make sure, haven't you? Adam Finch is the new batter for Worcestershire. He gets himself off the mark with a rather comical run.
It's an absolute howler.
He's done really well to miss from there, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lost for words.
That's gone out for a corner.
The Socceroos won't be making any calls to AJ Ty, that's for sure.
Slow ball again, full. Osama Mir picks it up and dispatches that one over the leg side. That one goes for 6. That's massive.
That's a good hit.
Missed his length, didn't he? Another, I think, a slower ball again from AJ Ty. Osama Mir picks that one up, deposits it into the rowdy bunch in front of the burger and fries. Airstream caravan down the bottom there, which looks quite resplendent in the sunshine. I know you quite like strike rate, Sam. Osama Mir's got a pretty good one at the moment.
Yeah, take that, Adam Hose.
Full Yorker again. Chance. Adam Finch makes it through. Lewis McManus with the chance. No harm done. Worcestershire pick up another run. So 182 for 7 then, Sam, off 19 overs. Osama Mir 7 off 2. Adam Finch 1 off 2. And David Willey, we believe, will bowl the 20th over from the Lynn Wilson centre end.
Lots of shades on down over on that side of the ground, looking into the sun as it sets.
You're quite good with nicknames and giving areas of the grounds that never had names, new names. What's springing to mind for you for the group of Northants fans queued up along the boundary there next to Saif Saeb? Or would you like me to give you a bit of time?
Yeah, leave it with me. Put me on the spot.
David Willey then, Osama Mir on strike, gives himself some room and goes straight over the offside. I don't think that's going to go for 4. 3 Northants fielders converging on that, and that's just gone for 2, so well fielded. 5 balls to go.
Big 5 balls.
Massive, Sam. I think if Northants can keep Worcestershire down under 190, I think they'll consider that to be a big win. But I think there's a great chance, or there is an opportunity here for Worcestershire to really get towards that 200, isn't there? Oh, inventive. Osama Mir, what a shot that is. That is gone over fine leg, and he picks up 4. Goes outside off stump, ramps David Willey over Lewis McManus and picks up 4.
I'll tell you what, a T20 batting average of 8.25, based on the 3 or 4 balls he's faced, does Osama Mir no justice whatsoever. There's some proper shots.
No, we've slept on Osama Mir, haven't we? I mean, even the strike rate wasn't even that impressive. I think it was only about 120, wasn't it, I think? David Willey then in to Osama Mir, and that is gone into the leg side. There's a bit of a slip from the Northants fielder who palms that one over the bar, and that is gone for 6 more for Worcestershire. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who that is down there, but I think he might have done himself a bit of a mischief. Is that Graham White down at deep backward square? Massive shot again from Osama Mir, who picks up another 6. He's 19 off 5, and the Rapids are 194 for 7.
Vasconcelos.
Is it Vasconcelos, is it? He's landed horribly there, hasn't he? Hopefully he's all right.
Joe has just brought out a fantastic stat. I think he's been playing club cricket for Colwyn Bay, and he smashed 140 in his last game for them. I mean, I know that's not the Blast, but suggests the guy can bat.
Of how many balls do we know?
Joe's getting on play cricket.
Oh, is it? Oh, casual as you like. David Willey, how about that? What a bit of fielding. Casual run out. Adam Finch has to go backing up, and nonchalant comes to mind.
I've heard of the back of the hand slower ball, and that's the back of the hand run out.
Yeah.
That is quality.
What a bit of fielding. All that international experience from David Willey coming out there. Does well to fetch that, doesn't he? One-handed, above his head. Has the frame of mind to turn around and flick that one out the back of his hands.
It's a great delivery, a great stop, and a great run out.
Yeah.
Sensational cricket. Brilliant. And Adam Finch was sort of just standing there watching. I think he thought, well, I've got plenty of time here. And next thing he knew,
David Willey then. And that's Osama Mir into the offside. I think that's just going to be one this time. So there's one ball left in this Worcestershire innings. Sam, the score's 196 for 8. And the new batter will face up in an attempt to get Worcestershire over that 200 mark.
yeah, they finished really well here, first with Pollock and then Osama Mir.
Full from David Willey, and that's got the outside half of the bat. Safe side does the fielding. There's going to be a chance here for a run out. McManus takes the stumps and is given a desperate dive from the Rapids batter to make his ground. Didn't quite get it. So, end of the innings. Worcestershire 195 for 8.
196 because they got a they got a single there, didn't they?
Yeah. So 196 for 8 at Worcestershire Rapids, which will set Northamptonshire 197 to win off their 20 overs. How do you both sum that performance up with the ball from Northamptonshire on this live stream powered by Daffabet?
I think generally it was good for the most part. However, when Worcestershire attack, they tend to score big, like the overs were like 14, 15 plus, and then Northampton would reply with an over of 6 or 7. It was really, yeah, up and down, and they've managed to get themselves up to a very respectable total in their first outing batting first for the season. As I think I mentioned, I think they only averaged 165 batting first, so they've done well to get up to that. I'm sure David Willey will still be ruining the 20 plus extra runs that Adam Hose scored after he was dropped. I thought Ed Pollock came in with his little cameo and did really well. Yeah, and Osama Mir, I've actually just checked stats on him. He's 124 for Colwyn Bay, came off 63 balls. He hit 10 fours and 10 sixes.
Outrageous.
The entertainer. But no, generally, I think they'll be happy to have taken 9 wickets, certainly. Don't know what your thoughts are, guys.
I think probably they didn't make the most of the power play, which is, if I was in the Northamptonshire dressing room, I'd be focusing on. I'd say, listen, if we can get ourselves off to a better start than Worcestershire, then actually it takes. We know how the runs can then come, and it takes a bit of the pressure off. So, you know, a lot riding on those first 6 overs. I can't actually remember what Worcestershire scored in the opening 6, but if it wasn't sort of a massive score. Have you got it there, Joe?
Yeah, so they were actually 25 for 2 after 4 overs.
Yeah.
And then the 5th over went for 15, the 6th over went for 17, so they managed to get up to 57 for 2.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty decent turnaround from Jack Haynes and Adam Hose. However, knowing that if they can hit the 5th and 6th over for that, then Chrislin and Ricardo can match and do better, I'm sure.
And actually, it's that's kind of in keeping with their run rate over the whole innings, isn't it? So actually, if you see the power play is supposedly benefiting the batting side, then it'll be interesting to see even if they could get 70, 75 off that power play, and it just puts them ahead of that rate early doors, and then the middle overs where you get perhaps your second string bowlers, which we talked about earlier with Worcestershire, bit of a green, inexperienced attack. If you can get on top of them, then you never know. But I think having said you thought Steelbacks 70-80% after 15 overs, probably somewhere like 50-50 now.
Yeah, I think so. And there's always a bit of that pressure when you're chasing, isn't there? If you lose a few early wickets, then it tends to be the case that middle order really has to stand up and I guess showing what they're made of in that sense. Knowing how heavily the top order in this Northampton team scored last year as well, the power play will be rightfully very important. And yeah, if they can win that, as it were, and outscore Worcestershire, then only lose perhaps 1 or 2 wickets, then Law will be set up for an exciting chase.
We're going to see a slightly different approach, aren't we, from Worcestershire, though? Obviously very seam heavy for Northamptonshire this evening, just Graham White bowling the spin for the Steelbacks. Obviously 2 overseas from Worcestershire, Michael Bracewell, finger spinner, Osama Mir, wrist spinner, captain Brett D'Oliveira, wrist spinner as well. Just 3 seamers, I think, isn't there, with Adam Finch, Mitchell Stanley and Pat Brown, or 3 out-and-out seamers anyway. So we are going to see a different approach to this game for Worcestershire, which I think is exciting, and we'll see kind of how that goes. Powerful lineup from the Steelbacks, though, which with, I assume, Vasconcelos looking to be the anchor throughout this innings, with Chris Lynn at the top, David Willey carded at 3 by the looks of it, Josh Cobb at 4, Saif Zayed at 5, Rob Keogh at 6. There's not really a slouch there, is there? And Vasco will be looking to provide that, hopefully, kind of anchor role to allow those big hitters to go about their business and really make a big dent in this 197 they got to chase down.
It's a really interesting point you make about the spin versus seam, and I guess it's both sides sort of playing to their strengths. You know, the experience of Ty and Willey. Worcestershire can't really pluck out a couple of names with that kind of experience on the seam front, but then, like you say, with Mir and Bracewell, that's 2 international spinners. So, it'd be really interesting to see sort of which of the 2 disciplines wins out tonight. Yeah, I think we're in for a good game. Like you said at the start of the evening, Craig Harvey, the Wantage Road groundsman, had said 200 par, and that's basically what we've got. So, yeah, I think it's too close to call, really, at this stage.
So you're saying 50-50?
50-50.
Where's your money, Joe?
Gun to head, I'd always back Steelbacks. Just looking at the stats of their highest successful chase last year, there's actually only 1, 5, 8, I think, when they were chasing. However, their last game of the season, when they played Leicester, and Leicester posted 214, Steelbacks only lost that game by 1 run. So it shows that they can do it, but as I mentioned earlier, I think they've tended to always bat first when they've played at home. So, I mean, if they can get over the line here, it would be a real statement of intent that they're not so reliant on batting first and then squeezing the opposition in the second half. So, yeah, it'll be a good challenge, certainly. But as you said, oh my word, that ball that. Did you just see how much that turned? That ball that Osama Mir just bowled in the warm-up.
Luckily, Joe, that is the practice pitch. I think 197 might be a few too many if this was the pitch that we were going to have to chase this down on. I think you're exactly right, though. I think Northampton will be looking to make a statement here, and as you say, we're not reliant on winning the toss and batting first. The power that they've got, 197, is well within their wheelhouse. They've got a belting pitch to go and do it on in the middle of the ground. None of these boundaries look massive in today's standards. Chris Lynn, 200s last year for the Steelbacks, obviously come back for his 2nd season. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised to see Worcestershire open up with a spinner, actually, because I think
matchups.
Yeah, matchups, exactly, and play to your strengths. Because if you start with the 2 seamers and Lynn gets hold of one of them or both of them, then suddenly they've got to come back and bowl again. Whereas the international experience of someone like Bracewell, the finger spinner, D'Oliveira, I think, has done the job opening up quite often for the Rapids. So yeah, and again, it's a question of playing to your strengths, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't see wrist spin, do you? That often, the first over of a T20 game. I would suggest Michael Bracewell would bowl that first over, a bit more control with finger spin. But I mean, if Brett D'Oliveira has opened up in the past, then clearly that's something that the Rapids see as a strength and as an option for them. But I think we are, 2 minutes away from the restart now? 3 minutes away from the restart. I'm going to dip out of this seat and Joe Gardner is going to take over from me. So I'll be back after the power play.
Yeah, the umpires making their way back out to the middle. You don't get much time for a cup of tea in the blast between innings. As carded, it is going to be Ricardo Vasconcelos and Chris Lynn. And just behind them on camera, you can see David Willey padded up. He's down to bat at 3. Watching Osama Mir go through his warm-ups out in the middle there. Looks like he likes to bowl it quite full, assuming that's what he was trying to do. As Joe rejoins us on lead comms.
Yeah, let's see how these two start off this chase. Exciting.
Yeah, having said we thought it will be a spinner to open for Worcestershire, it does look like Mitchell Stanley is going to be certainly taking the first over. And you'd have thought if he's taking the first over, then maybe it will be seam at the start from both ends.
I think it would have been a little bit rogue to open with wrist spin potentially, as Dan alluded to. If anything, it could have potentially been Michael Bracewell, as we see the win predictor just pop up on your screens now, with the Rapids at 63.7% and the Steelbacks at 36.3%. That doesn't sit too well with me. See how Ricardo, see what he's got to say about that. Got a slip in play, Ed Pollock slips. It's a fantastic take from Ben Cox down the leg side. You thought that was going to be 5 wides for all money. Excellent bit of work, wasn't it?
Yeah, stunning.
That's halfway across the next strip.
Few nerves from young Stanley, I think.
Yeah, I think you'd be right in saying that. Only the 6 matches in the blast last year for Worcestershire in his debut season, but did take 7 wickets. Earned himself call up for the Manchester Originals in the 100, played a couple of times for them, but as we've already alluded to across the course of this live stream, an experienced Worcester attack.
This helps with the run rate.
Absolutely, not had a legal delivery yet. Some phantom cheers from the crowd. Then if we got out, we've got a deep backward square, deep backward point. So square of the wicket, you think that Stanley's going to be bowling into the pitch. First legal delivery from Stanley is a dot, although it's going away from Vasconcelos. Couldn't quite lay a bat on it.
Yeah, he's talked of, well, his potential being very exciting. Mitchell Stanley is quick. I think he was clocked at 92 miles an hour in the 100 last year. So he's got raw pace.
All the way along the floor, through extra cover for 4 from Vasconcelos. Gets his innings up and running. And with that pace, doesn't really have to think about adding too much power to the stroke, I guess.
Yeah.
You can see he's a good build for a fast bowler, isn't he, Mitchell Stanley? But Vasconcelos more than equal to that and helps himself to fuller delivery. Yeah, Vasconcelos didn't play in the blast last year. He had a hand injury. I can't remember if it was his thumb or his finger, but I know it was a hand injury. And that came as a result of bowling in a championship match that had reached,
That's right, yeah.
very much to say, a draw on day 4, and he was bowling. He got hit, ruled him out of the blast. So he's not played much T20 cricket.
Yeah, that was a big loss for...
Lynn gets off the mark with a quick single up to mid-on.
Because he'd been, am I right in saying he was top scorer in 2021 in the Blast, Vasconcelos? So to lose him last year, I mean, obviously a certain Mr. Lynn came in and deputised at the top of the order fairly with plenty of skill, but particularly from Ricardo's point of view, that would have been a massive blow, having really had that sort of bit of a breakthrough season really in T20 cricket in 2021 to then miss all but one game last year.
Goes to ramp that towards us, but misses out that time.
I'll tell you what, it's my fault for talking over it, but I think Chris Lynn was in trouble there if there was a direct hit, which would not have been a great start to the Northamptonshire innings, would it?
No, it wouldn't have been ideal. Yeah. Inaccurate throw. Final ball of the over. So 10 off the first over from Mitchell Stanley with those 3 wides at the start of the over. 4 through extra cover from Vasconcelos. Vasconcelos will be on strike at the start of this second over. It looks as though it's going to be Michael Bracewell to take the ball from this Lynn Wilson centre end.
Interesting, isn't it? Because usually when they open with a spinner, they tend to take the first over. You don't often see that, where I can't quite work out the thinking. Maybe no reason he couldn't. I was going to say choice of ends, but then they could have just started at this end if they'd wanted to.
Yeah, perhaps with left-hander Vasconcelos on strike, it's quite a good matchup with a finger spin off spinner to the left-handed batters potentially. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's usually the first over, just trying to sneak it in, isn't it? But Michael Bracewell, 46 T20 wickets in his career, an average of 14.8, an economy of 6.75. I mean, that's not
that economy rate, yeah.
Worked off his legs well to the leg side sweeper there. Vasconcelos. Right, now I think it's important here. Chris Lynn, I'm sure he'll be licking his lips at the prospect of facing off spin early in this power play with only 2 men out. Likes to target straight, does Chris Lynn, sorry.
Yeah, as a few residents around the ground found out about last year. Apparently, insurance premiums for the people in the terraced houses on Wantage Road went up when they renewed this year. The announcement...
As soon as the announcement came out, yeah, excellent.
So that's the tip if you own one of those houses, renew before Chris Lynn gets announced for the next Blast season.
He's faced a couple of dots here, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same thing.
You just wonder what might come next. And there we have it. He goes for the shot, just loops over the offside ring. They'll come back for a couple. But you always felt like there was going to be something that Chris Lynn was going to try and get after. See, 516 runs last year for the Steelbacks, an average of 64.5. And an average here at the county ground in his 6 innings that he played here of 91.5. I mean,
yeah,
it's quite incredible, isn't it? Strike rate of 163. High score being that 113 out against the Rapids last year. Gets that one through the offside, and that'll be 4.
I was thinking about the psychology of Chris Lynn. I mean, he's been around and he's you know, he's seen it all. But having come and played so well in that first year, his first year in county cricket, highest ever return in a blast season for Northants, almost means more pressure on year 2, doesn't it, to do the same again?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but I know when the signing of Chris Lynn was announced, he certainly felt like he wanted to take this team into the knockout stages of the competition. Obviously, had finished on a bit of a low when he was here last summer. So we'll be looking to rectify that. Change of bowling at the David Capel end. We've got the other young seamer, Adam Finch. Just the one game for him in the Blast last year. But he took 3 for 38 against the Bears, which was actually career best in T20 cricket. Just the six T20 matches to his name, 7 wickets. It's well fielded by the man at extra cover. I think that's Jack Haynes out there.
Yeah, and so Finch has got Adam Hose at deep square right on the rope, and Pat Brown at backward point, which perhaps gives you some indication of where he's going to bowl the ball. And also perhaps...
Can't bowl full, can he?
No.
Otherwise Vasconcelos is going to help himself and hit straight, you would imagine, on the top. Just a bit like that. And he pierces the ball through the mid-on region for 4. Just that little bit fuller so he's able to get his hands through it and target down the ground. Missed his length there, did Adam Finch, with the field that he's got set in this power play. Steelbacks move on to 21. Just looked like it died a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if he'd whether it was sort of cross seam or rolled his fingers across it, but yeah, shot through. Not a tall man, Ricardo Vasconcelos, but even he was having to, well, attempting to adjust at the last minute, but it was yeah, it did shoot through. As the shadows lengthen.
Oh, brilliant shot. Inventive. Saw that there's an opportunity with fine leg up in the ring, and Ricardo Vasconcelos, he tried it in the previous over. Ramps with great success for 4. Takes him on to 15, which is his highest score against Worcestershire in T20 cricket. Final ball of the over. Does again. This time it went a lot higher, but it's still the same result, and he's picked up his 3rd boundary of the over. Great courageousness there from Ricardo Vasconcelos to do it again.
Yeah, not sure Finch quite got his lengths right in that over.
No, it was a bit of a mixed bag, wasn't it? And Vasconcelos moves his score up to 19. Positive start from him.
Interesting, Bracewell bowling a second over. I think they feel that with that inexperienced seam attack, they can't afford not to lean on the finger spin of Bracewell, even in the power play at this stage.
That's it. We've got out deep square leg and a deep mid wicket for Chris Lynn. And I did wonder how long it would be before we saw Chris Lynn open his arms and target straight down the ground. And he's helped himself to a 1 bounce 4 in the long on region. And if you'd have seen one of the fields that was set for Chris Lynn here last year, that knock of 113 not out, there were 5 men on the rope, 3 of them guarding this boundary below us. It was almost like a long on, long off, and then a straight backstop. It was bizarre. And he's flayed that one straight down the ground, past the bowler, past mid-off for another 4. So back-to-back 4s for Chris Lynn, for the finger spin of Michael Bracewell. And is the gamble to bowl a second over of Michael Bracewell in the power play gonna work out here for the Rapids, or is Chris Lynn gonna continue to target straight boundary? Sweet as a nut.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, this second over from Bracewell, and at the moment it's not paying off for the Rapids, especially against a man, as Dan has just reminded me, who scored Northampton's highest ever T20 score against the Rapids last year. So you know he likes batting against this team, and there's always going to be a risk with a second over of finger spin.
Bracewell coming around the wicket now. Another 1 bounce 4 straight back down the ground from Chris Lynn. And you did just wonder, was this going to be help yourself stuff for Chris Lynn? If you'd have seen the knock that he played here last year, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The way he's targeted this straight boundary. It's been excellent, really playing to his strengths, and now we see the move to bring square leg up, send long on back. And he'll probably just knock this down the ground for a single and keep the strike. Here we go.
You played a bit yourself, have you, Joe?
I try. That's an excellent over for the Steelbacks.
Top calling from Joe Gardner there. Big over that.
Yeah, it was. When I saw Bracewell at the top of his mark, I did think it was a bit ominous, I can't lie. I'm not sure if you guys saw any of the highlights from last year, but you always felt like Chris Lynn was going to target Bracewell there, his overseas counterpart.
And in, just in those power play overs, when you can only have 2 outside, you literally can't set a field to it, because all he's got to do is get it over the men at mid-on and mid-off, and it's 4.
Second over for Mitchell Stanley. Same again from Chris Lynn, pierces the gap between mid-off and extra cover. Just helps himself to another boundary, and that brings up the 50 for the Steelbacks. 25th ball of the innings. Excellent batting from Chris Lynn. Yeah, I did wonder that Michael Bracewell, the 2 men out with square leg and mid-wicket. I mean, I'm not sure he quite done his homework on Chris Lynn's target areas, perhaps. Short. Oh, to the man at square leg, and he's picked him out as Chris Lynn, and unfortunately brings that innings to an end. He hit it crisply. Mitchell Stanley gets his man, and the Steelbacks are 50 for 1 in the 5th over.
Was he just a little early on that? Had he? It just looked like he didn't quite get underneath it.
No, he didn't quite get the elevation that he perhaps needed if he was looking to get it over the man at square leg, or it was either get underneath it or get on top of it and just take the single, perhaps. But it's a bit in between. But Chris Lynn has to go for 28 of 14 balls. Exciting cameo from him, but it brings the skipper, David Willey, to the crease for his first innings.
I was just about to say before that wicket, already Worcestershire's shoulders have gone down. They're a bit quiet out there. Mitchell Stanley, he's walking back to his mark with his head drooped, but just shows you how quickly things can change in the shortest form.
It's a fickle old game. David Willey gets off the mark.
Shout of "Shot Willie" from beneath us in the Linwell Centre, and I reckon that man's probably shouted that not just in David Willey's first stint here, but probably during his dad's career as well. It had the air of someone who'd seen a lot of Willie runs at Wantage Road over the years.
delicately played to the fielder at third man, and they'll come through for a single. Yep, David Willey, who made his Steelbacks debut on this day in 2009, some 14 years ago. Lots happened since then.
Great stat, that is.
Did enjoy finding that one out. Nice few singles here for the Steelbacks after losing that wicket off Chris Lynn. Yep, scored over 1,000 runs in T20 cricket for Northamptonshire as David Willey. One of only, I think, 12 men in the Blast to take over 100 wickets and 1,000 runs across his Blast career. Final ball of the over. Not a wide called from the umpire. Vasconcelos looks at the umpire as if to say, "What's that, not a wide?"
Yeah, Vasconcelos, he did take a step over, didn't he, to the offside. I wonder if it just passed over the top of his leg stump, but yeah, close either way. I was just about to ask when we thought we might see Pat Brown enter the attack. In previous years, he would very much have been new ball bowler for the Rapids, but as you mentioned earlier, Joe, his sort of status taken a bit of a knock in the last few years. He's had bad luck with injuries, and I think he's one of those bowlers that sort of slightly got found out, didn't he? He had all those variations, and then people started to pick up on them. Here he is now.
And that's helped over the top of a very fine leg for a one bounce four. David Willey, his first boundary of the innings. And as we saw in the first innings, first ball from Pat Brown, a gift. David Willey's not going to miss out on that. Yeah, you're right. In that year that Pat Brown was leading wicket taker in the competition, the year that the Rapids won, 31 wickets. Powered down the ground from David Willey. Full in length that time from Pat Brown, and Willey's helped himself to that. Back-to-back fours for the left-hander.
He's in the slot.
What's Pat Brown going to do here to reply? Who have we got out on the ropes? Deep backward point and a deep square leg.
Oh.
That's massive. Absolutely crunched into the houses on Abington Avenue. I wonder if that one will be on a Ring doorbell. But that was massive. Biggest six of the game from David Willey. 4-4-6. Steelbacks 67 for 1. 3 balls left of the power play.
Yes, pretty similar delivery to the first of the over. Slightly fuller, but still very short. And David Willey this time deciding to deposit it over backward square. Ominous form or start to the innings from the Steelbacks skipper.
Didn't try to overhit that whatsoever, just pure timing. I mean, David, if you've got any bats in your collection that are going spare, I'm sure one of us will have them up here in the comms box.
Be wasted on me, Joe. You can have it.
Maybe Dan will have it for the weekend. Sure, we'll see about that. He wouldn't say no.
Pressure on Pat Brown now. 3 boundaries, 3 balls, 3 boundaries. What can he come up with?
Well, he's gone to find the rope again there, and they'll come through for a quick single, but that time he really did try and overhit. Lost his shape slightly, come through for a single, but productive 15 runs onto his tally. He's 17 off 6 balls. It's a nice start for the Steelbacks fans, for David Willey's first 6 balls in. Back in the colours.
Ooh.
It's a chance. I think Adam Finch got a hand to that. And is it going to go all the way for 4? Not quite dragged back in from the rope. So 3 runs for Ricardo Vasconcelos as he was trying to get in on the act to really finish this power play with a blast. So maybe a slight half chance from a despairing dive from Adam Finch at mid-on, but never in any real danger. Final ball of the power play then. It's full on leg stump. It was well bowled from Pat Brown. Be much happier with the 6th delivery of that over. But it's a big one for the Steelbacks. 19 off it, 72 for 1 off the power play. And they've cut a big chunk into this chase. So 197 the target, so 125 required. I'm going to make way for Dan. And I'll see you.
Yeah, I think the home side will be pretty happy with their power play. 72 for 1. The Rapids 57 for 2 off their opening 6 overs. So head to head, Steelbacks ahead at the moment. As yeah, the scoreboard's saying Stanley, but this is Adam Finch. Has a good bit of fielding. Probably certainly saving 2 runs there. Or an extra 1 run. So yeah, scorers, if you can hear me. This is Adam Finch. There we go. As if by magic, they have changed it on the scoreboard. 12 off his first over. Just a single for Vasconcelos. Welcome back, Dan.
Thanks for having me back, Sam.
Anytime.
Been quite an enterprising start, isn't it, for Northamptonshire? Those strike rates, Lynn 200 bang on, Willey currently at just under 260. And I mean, Vasconcelos looks pretty slow at 153 right now.
It's a really good point. I did think, oh, is he going a little slowly? But 150 is not to be sniffed at. And actually, he's doing exactly what I think his captain will have asked of him, is, you know, to let people like Lynn and Willey, Cobb, Zabe to almost bat round him, and if he gets sixer this time, David Willey with another boundary, this time just picked up the length early.
How on earth has that gone that far, Sam? That has no right to have gone that far. That is outrageous.
I think Joe's right. Let's get the let's get this bat. Put it through the gauge.
Put it in Joe's kit bag, I think, is what Joe's actually saying. That'll be off to Lords tomorrow for the Sunrisers game.
Better from Finch, although lets himself down with a misfield off his own bowling. Good Yorker, just a single. Off the 4th ball of the over, 9 off it so far. And the run rate required now down below 9, 8.7. 116 to win from here for the Steelbacks.
67% now, the win predictor by Intelligent Cricket.
Another big one from Ricardo Vasconcelos, his first really big shot of the night. And that has gone out of the ground. No one is safe.
That might just... Do you reckon that's put that win predictor into the 70s now? It has. 72.5. That is powerful by Vasconcelos.
Yeah, and I have to say, the people in the hot air balloons were in danger there. That absolutely flew off the bat.
Oh, they floated away long ago. They knew they were in trouble.
Yeah. Air traffic control said, are you guys nuts? It's a better length from Finch. 16 off the over, and the Steelbacks going at a pace after 7 overs.
Yeah, 12.5 runs and over, Sam, for the first 7 overs, puts them 88 for 1. Going to have the first look at the Pakistani international. How are you pronouncing? Is it Usama?
Usama, I think.
Usama Mir, leg spinner. I think he plays in the PSL for the Multan Sultans. Played 6 ODIs for Pakistan, I think. Said with some confidence. 6 ODIs for Pakistan. Yeah, he's picked up 71 T20 wickets in his career, though. So, and the other thing as well, he's quite a tall lad as well, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was just behind Rashid Khan in the wicket takers list amongst spinners in this year's PSL. So a good bit of last-minute business from the Rapids, filling in for Mitchell Santner, who's still out in the IPL. That's sweetly dinked to the man at 45 by Ricardo Vasconcelos, single off the first ball of the over. Thanks again to our stream partner Dafbet, as well as tonight's match sponsor ComSave. David Willey, 26 off 10 balls. Samamir ties him down for now.
Without sounding too old, Sam, but is there a bit of a kind of a slow Mushtaq Ahmed type action here from Usama Mir?
Yeah, great shout. About 2 foot taller, but the arms are yeah, it's a really good shout.
Not quite as energetic, is he, at the crease, but...
No, but the way the arms go up, both at the start of his run-up and just before his, well, in his delivery, are very Mushtaq Ahmed-esque. Bowled him. Ricardo Vasconcelos, clean bowled by Usama Mir. Quicker one, I think. And it was one that just skidded through back of a length. Just hurried Ricardo Vasconcelos.
It looks like that's turned a touch as well, Sam. As you said, maybe a little bit quicker than what Ricardo was expecting, and a bit of bounce as well from the tall man. It's hit the top of the stumps as well, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely skidded on. I think, like you say, Ricardo Vasconcelos was giving himself a bit of room and hoping to just work that through the point or cover region, but it just shot on off the pitch, and he is gone. The second wicket to fall, 90 for 2, and Josh Cobb comes in at number 4 with his successor as captain at the other end.
really good innings that from Vasconcelos, though, 32 off 20. I don't know how close the decision would have been at the top of the order to partner Chris Lynn between Vasconcelos and Emilio Gay, but I think that 32 off 20 with 4 fours and a 6 has done Vasconcelos absolutely no harm going forward.
Short from Usama Mir, and it's just knocked down to Adam Hose at long on. Yeah, well, there would have been a few selection headaches, wouldn't there, before the game for the Steelbacks, because certainly in the second 11 games that were used as a bit of a run out for most of the sort of first team players, I think nearly all the regular top 6 or contenders to the top 6 scored some runs. Emilio Gay smashed 60 odd against Worcestershire, in fact, on Monday in a second game, and Ricardo Vasconcelos had made a quick 40, I think, earlier on in the day. That's what you want as a head coach and a captain, is people making your life hard when it comes to making decisions and just keeping everyone at the top of the game. As Pat Brown switches to the David Capel end, hoping for a slightly better result than he had on his first over, which went for plenty. Tucked into the onside by Josh Cobb.
Yeah, Josh Cobb was second to Chris Lynn last year, wasn't he, as the leading run scorer for the Steelbacks. He scored 318 runs in the Blast in 2022. Struck at 153 as well, with a high score of 70.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been an absolute asset for Northamptonshire over the years in T20 cricket particularly. Not least in that 2016 final. Calls, the shouts from the Worcestershire fielders is, let's make this 3. 2 good partnerships so far for the Steelbacks. The Rapids will be desperate to prevent a 3rd from materialising. Bit of a delay here whilst David Willey ties his shoes. When I'm batting, I usually nod to a fielder, so would you mind just tying my shoes up for me?
Are you out there long enough to have your shoelaces come undone, Sam?
Top edge from Josh Cobb, the man coming in with a fantastic catch. A brilliant catch. He had to cover a lot of ground and dive forward. Those are never easy, and Josh Cobb given up hope, but there was a lot of work to do for Adam Finch out in the deep. And Pat Brown has a wicket and has started his second over much better than his first. That's a great catch.
Really good, Sam. Given the standards that we expect from these pro cricketers these days, it doesn't really become that much of a surprise that he held on to it. And I can kind of understand why Josh Cobb probably thought, well, that's that one done. Brilliant catch. Had to cover a lot of ground, didn't he, to get to where he needed to be.
And timing that dive forward,
yeah,
you know, that to sort of marry that up with the ball dipping like that. Yeah, credit to Adam Finch. He's not had the easiest night with the ball so far.
No, it broke a really experienced partnership. They're not, David Willey and Josh Cobb combined, they're not that far away from 450 T20 appearances as a duo.
Well, a chance for a man with a fair fewer T20s to his name. Saif Zaib is the new man. He's off the mark straight away, just tucks it off his hip into the onside. Pat Brown does a fielding off his own bowling. It's a great comeback from Pat Brown.
Yeah, he got a bit of love, didn't he, from David Willey in his first over, and as you said, he's come back really nicely there and picked up a big wicket of Josh Cobb, which has put the Steelbacks at 3 down now on 94.
Yeah, 19 off Pat Brown's first over, just 3 and that wicket. Make that 4 and that wicket off the first 5 balls of his second innings. So the switch of end has worked wonders for Pat Brown.
Good opportunity here for Northants just to settle the ship slightly after that explosive start they had. There's still at least a run and a half above the required run rate, so that powerful start by the 3 at the top really kind of paying dividend now. Saif Zaib 311 runs last year at striking at 151, so I mean he doesn't hang about either.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Just make sure you don't lose another quick wicket, because then Worcestershire feel right on top. Actually, Saif Zaib is a good man for this situation, and yes, we've seen him hit really powerfully, but when he has to, he's very good at finding the gaps, picking up 1s and 2s, and you know, David Willey's in, going well, so I'd probably at this stage, if I was Saif Zaib, be looking to do exactly that.
Definitely, yeah. Just saw a sneaky Perth Scorchers shirt at the top of the Spencer Pavilion, so clearly an AJ Ty fan in the house tonight.
Michael Bracewell back for his 3rd over, none for 24 so far for the Kiwi. Just feel like this is a crucial period of the game. Those 2 quick wickets, Steelbacks were well on top. Worcestershire have just got themselves back in things. This is good stuff from Michael Bracewell, with his field set the way it is. 5 men on the offside, just hanging in outside the off stump. David Willey respectfully just pushing it into the offside. That's exactly what I mean about just picking up those ones where they're on offer, knowing that the seamers have got to come back as well, and that there will be runs to, well, based on what we've seen so far, there will be runs to be had off them. You can afford to pay Michael Bracewell the respect he deserves.
Yeah, certainly worthy of a bit more respect.
Oh, and that would have been very tight with a direct hit. Save is quick, and he had to be there because it was a great bit of fielding from Pat Brown, who covered a lot of ground and then picked the ball up and threw in almost one motion. Bullet throw to Michael Bracewell, but Save was quick enough to get home. As the syllables get a little bit more slurred on the effects mic downstairs. It's really good from Michael Bracewell. Really, really good.
Have you come up with the name yet, Sam, for the area of the ground? I know when I spoke to David Willey in that pre-match piece, on his return to Wantage Road for the first time after the move to Yorkshire, he did say that somebody deposited beer on / around him down in that kind of area. So I wonder whether that kind of adds any help for the naming rights.
Still thinking, Dan, still thinking. 4 off the over, a really good over for Michael Bracewell, but I also think really intelligent cricket from both David Willey and Save. Last thing Steelbacks needed there was to lose another quick wicket. And more spin, this time from the David Capel end, and it'll be Osama Mir, who was brilliant in his first over of Blast cricket. 3 runs and a wicket from it. Yep, the wicket of Ricardo Vasconcelos for 32 off 20 balls. Reverse sweep from Zaid only just picks out the man and the 45. That's a big wicket. Great. Trying to see who the fielder was. Kashif Ali there with a regulation catch. Save plays that shot so well, but he just didn't quite get on top of it this time. Yeah. Straight to the man, and he bowled to his field there.
That's a real strength of Safes, isn't it? Those sweep shots, both orthodox and reverse, and it was on, wasn't it? That slog reverse sweep. Both fielders were up inside the circle, so if he could have got a little bit more on that, that would have been an easy 4 for the Northants batter, but not meant to be this time.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's a shot he plays really well, and actually the percentages there were, you know, if he could get it over those guys, then that was 4 runs. So, you know, people look at reverse sweeps and go, "Oh, risky big shot," but actually, probably played to the percentages, just didn't execute it.
Yeah, that's a massive swing in the Intelligent Cricket win predictor as well. That Steelbacks down to 30. It wasn't that long ago after that Vasconcelos 6. That was at 72.5.
Lewis McManus is the new man. He's off the mark straight away with a single out to long off. Didn't have a great year in T20 cricket last year, as the 100 comes up for the Steelbacks off 10.2 overs. Lot of pressure on David Willey's shoulders here. Nothing he won't be used to, but he's got a big role to play now.
Absolutely. I mean, he's played 248. I think this is his 249th T20 appearance. So as you said, vastly experienced, has played all around the world under some incredible captains as well in some amazing venues. And Northants are well in this game. I mean, they've done so much of the heavy lifting in that power play. That run rate is about equal at the moment, isn't it, of what's required and what they're going at.
Yeah, and having done, you know, so much of the heavy lifting, the required weight is up above 10, but if they can get to the you know, to the last 4 overs, even requiring 13s, 14s, with the seamers having to come back. I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility by any stretch of the imagination.
No, of course not. And we spoke, didn't we, at the start of the stream about how stacked this Northants batting lineup is. Rob Keogh's still to come, James Sales. You got Tom Taylor carded at 9 today. Steelbacks bat a long, long way, but this Osama Mir looks a real handful.
Interesting, the move of Rob Keogh down the order. I guess you know, the specialist finisher role again is something we saw in the Rapids innings, and Rob Keogh maybe being asked to do something similar. Just a bit of a hush descending on the ground. I think people realise that this is a really critical point in the match. Spin's been doing the job for the Rapids, so no surprise to see Brett D'Oliveira entering the attack.
I think the move for Rob Keogh might be something along the lines of making sure that Steelbacks didn't have 2 left-handers at the crease.
Yeah, good
Obviously,
point.
Willie's the lefty. Lewis McManus kind of just breaks that flow up, doesn't he? Being a right-handed batter makes it a bit harder for captains and bowlers being able to mix that up as a variation.
So of the Rapid spinners, Bracewell has 1 left, Mir has 2. This is the first over from Brett D'Oliveira. There's still plenty of overs of spin to come. And it really is a strength of this Rapid side. And that's well run in the end. Lewis McManus, another guy that's quick across the ground. Floodlights just taking full effect now. Starting to take full effect. It's a shout for a catch down the leg side. Must have come off a bit of thigh pad or pad buckle, because it wasn't signalled a wide. Oh, and David Willey, I'm afraid, for Northants fans, has picked out the man. He was there for exactly that shot. David Willey didn't quite get hold of it like he has been so far this evening. And a regulation catch, and you have to say that significantly swings things in favour of the visitors.
It certainly does, Sam. It looks like the Steelbacks are struggling with the 2 Worcestershire leg spinners. Whether there's a little bit of grip in this surface, I'm certainly not qualified enough to start talking about dew factors and lights and what kind of impact that has in it. But it looks like there's a little bit of purchase in there for the 2 wristies. And I tell you what, so Worcestershire have got Osama Mir for the first 3 games. I think that's cover for Mitch Santner, who's at Worcestershire for the rest of the season. I don't follow the IPL that closely, but I think CSK got through to the final, I think.
Yeah.
So he'll be delayed slightly, but the way he's bowled so far, Osama Mir, they'll be kind of hoping they could keep hold of him for a bit longer.
Rob Keogh is off the mark, first ball. Yeah, having started at a blistering pace, David Willey just got a little bit subdued by the spinners. Tried to lift that. That's a filthy delivery from Brett D'Oliveira, which just clears for 6. Got the treatment it deserved. It wasn't that far away from presenting another chance to the man at Cow Corner.
No, he's landed that at his toes, hasn't he? And that replay there shows the disgust in himself having released that one, which I think politely you'd call a drag down.
Yeah, in the end it was a comfortable 6. For a moment I thought Michael Bracewell was in with a chance, and Rob Keogh would never have forgiven himself if he'd put that down the throat of Michael Bracewell. But in the end he gets his first boundary.
Two for 8 off 2 overs for Osama Mir. What a debut this is for the Rapids. he's a bit more sedate, Rob Keogh, I think, than the batters that have come before him. Last year, striking at just under 120, so...
I should apologise. It was Lewis McManus, of course, who hit the last ball of the over for 6, not Rob Keogh. He's on strike now with 1 from 1. No, he isn't. That again is Lewis McManus. Scoreboard just throwing me there.
Yeah, either way, we could do with a calming influence at crease.
And in the commentary box.
Well, yeah. I do struggle, but they are left and right-handed, if that helps.
Yeah, no excuses. I think a bit of inside edge onto the pad there. Rob Keogh has fallen into Osama Mir's trap once again. The next man to go, and Northamptonshire in big trouble here. Another catch for the man out there in the deep in front of the groundsman's hut. Rob Keogh goes for just 2. He's been a handful, Osama Mir.
He, honestly, Sam, he's been fantastic to watch. I appreciate there'll be a lot of Steelbacks fans watching this game. Could well be a few fans from Pakistan watching Osama Mir's debut for the Rapids, and I'm sure all the Worcestershire fans that have tuned in are really enjoying it. But honestly, he's been great to watch, isn't he? That's his 3rd wicket now. 3 for 10 he's picked up from 2.5 overs.
Yeah, well, as it stands, on its way to being a match-winning innings. Can Tom Taylor resist this onslaught from the spin of Worcestershire? Final ball of the over, after which I will make way for Joe Gardner. Dan and Joe to see this game through to its conclusion. Just 3 off the over and that wicket. 3 for 11 from his first 3 overs. Steelbacks 116 for 6. 117 for 6. 7 overs left. 80 to win. Required rate now up at 11.4.
Yeah, it's building at the moment, and if you're a Worcestershire Rapids fan, I think you'll be pretty happy watching this stream right now. A lot of work to do for the 2 Northampton batters in Tom Taylor and Lewis McManus. Joe earlier this evening was talking about Tom Taylor's debut innings for Northamptonshire as D'Oliveira continues, and Tom Taylor plays that one out into the offside. Joe's back, and how could we do with one of those Tom Taylor innings right about now?
Yeah, it's a crucial time of the game for him to come in and have an impact. I'm sure a lot earlier than he would have wanted, but he's a talented cricketer. Simon Mear's been in a handful, hasn't he? It was only the other day when I was talking to fellow leg spinner Abtar Maqsood, doing some research in the coffee shop, and we saw that Mear's first ODI wicket was Kane Williamson, and we rewatched the delivery and it was an absolute Jaffa. I think she kept on watching it on loop in awe.
It's gone up this time into the offside. I think it's going to drop safe. It does indeed, and Tom Taylor survives that one. Healthy outside edge that time. Yeah, I suspect there's leg spinner to leg spinner. There's probably a lot of love when you see those kind of deliveries. Powerfully beats the dive at cover. Are we going to pick 4? No, that's well fielded on the boundary. It's just going to be 2. The 2 leggies for Worcestershire have bowled really well in tandem, Joe.
Yeah, they have. D'Oliveira obviously entering the attack a little bit later, but they've offered that bit of control that you want from your bowlers in the middle overs, certainly, and they've managed to squeeze the Northampton batters, who have ended up getting in a bit of a pickle, getting caught on the ring or on the ropes.
And a bit of turn as well on offer for the two of them. I know Osama's quite a lot taller than Brett D'Oliveira, without stating the obvious, as they cross paths at that point, just to prove exactly what I was saying. Is that something that you would have expected kind of so early on in the blast, the turn on offer here at Wantage Road, or is that something that's taken you a little bit by surprise?
Probably a little bit by surprise, to be fair. But that's almost a credit to the bowlers in how much they're how many revs they're putting on the ball, to be fair to them. So yeah, I mean, I think it's worked well for the Rapids, and good captaincy from Brett D'Oliveira, you'd probably say. Seam comes back into the attack.
Yeah, Adam Finch is back, going over 14s, going exactly 14s, 2 overs, none for 28. We could do with another one of those. And that's well fielded by, I think, Brett D'Oliveira, isn't it, at mid-off with the fielding assist. Keeps that down to 1. The Intelligent Cricket win predictor doesn't look particularly healthy from the Steelbacks' perspective right now. 6 down for 125.
Lewis McManus can hit a long ball. He might be slight in stature.
Full toss from Finch, and that's well fielded again, is it, by D'Oliveira? Yeah, teammate tidies up the work down on the boundary. So what do we need at the moment then? 12.35 and over from here on in to get over the line for the Steelbacks. 4 wickets left though. What have we got? James Sales, AJ Ty and Graham White to come, is that right? Full from Finch again, misses the Yorker, full toss into the leg side, just 1, but... Yeah,
that's right, and you feel like this is a key partnership. Just extend this as deep into the 20 overs as possible, hitting the pockets hard, running well, hitting the bad ball for a boundary, and just got to keep yourself in the game at this point, I think.
Full again, and that's an inside edge that's running down to fine leg. That man, Sam Amir, does the fielding. He's everywhere tonight, isn't he? That's 2 for Tom Taylor. So tapping into Joe Gardner, the pro cricketer, 12.5 now, the required run rate. At what point does that start looking a bit panicky from a pro cricketer's perspective? Are we there yet at 12.5? Have we got a little bit more room to play with, or do we have to go pretty hard now for the next 5 overs? That's a full toss after giving himself a bit of room.
Well, Dan, if you'd have seen me last week at Chelmsford batting when we needed 12.5 and over, I'm sure you can probably appreciate that. I think in my head, perhaps I thought panic mode was on, but then again, we were a little bit deeper into the game. There's probably only 3 overs left at that point. And I was trying to hit the boundary as much as possible. Short boundary on one side.
Full again from Adam Finch. I think he's got away with about 5 or 6 full tosses in a row there.
Low full tosses, missing out on the Yorker. But it's interesting because I know in pre-match bowlers meetings, the bowlers will be the bowling coach will be talking about where they want their miss to be. And if you're looking to bowl Yorkers, then you want your miss to be fuller, because in theory you should have the field set accordingly for a fuller ball. So it's actually better that he's bowling low full tosses as opposed to half trackers that the batters are obviously more than welcome to hit square of the wicket.
Reverse sweep from Tom Taylor. I think he's beaten the man. The chase is on and fortunately for Northampton, the fielding wasn't quite good enough, and Tom Taylor picks up 4. Could this be the over, Joe, that Tom Taylor targets?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Obviously, starting the over with a boundary is massive in terms of momentum and trying to make it a big one, you know, put the bowler under pressure early on.
Full from D'Oliveira and gets played into the leg side for a single. So Lewis McManus now on strike.
And as I said, Lewis McManus is a good player. He scored career best list day century here last year against Derby in the Royal London Cup, and 17 not out off 6 balls in the second warm-up game against Worcester on Monday. So he's got that firepower in him. Obviously, probably more renowned for running hard between the wickets. A bit like Tom Taylor in a sense, which is not too dissimilar of what they can almost create in this partnership. I know the required rate's at 13.6, but 6 twos is 12 and over.
True. That's up from Tom Taylor. He hasn't got enough of it. Bracewell's underneath it, and Bracewell completes the catch. Adds a little dive at the end for a bit of extra panache, but that is 7 down now for the Steelbacks as Lewis McManus goes caught in the deep.
Yeah, he didn't quite get hold of that, did he? I think he toe-ended it a bit. And yeah, Michael Bracewell added a bit of extra sauce to that catch, but taken well nonetheless. And they fielded pretty well tonight, I think, the Rapids. Back their bowlers up well. James Sales is welcome to the crease, and yeah, that you feel like that's a big wicket in terms of the intelligent CricViz percentage win predictor, whatever it's called. Dan, you know the words.
Whatever it's called, it's probably not looking too healthy at the moment, I don't suspect. Well fielded there off James Sales's first ball. It's been a good over from D'Oliveira, who picks up the wicket of Lewis McManus. I thought that was one that Northants were going to go after. 4 overs to go now, 139 for 7 the score. The required run rate 14.5, and as Joe was saying, the intelligent cricket win predictor fairly in favour of the Rapids there at 97.3%. But 2.7% says to me there's still a chance.
It's T20 cricket, anything can
2.8,
happen.
2.8,
anything could happen. That's just because you just said that and
I've
they just nudged it up.
I've backed him.
Why not? Simon Mir for his last over.
Short ball, and I think that's going to be a leg bye, a couple of leg byes for James Sales as he comes back for 2. So just something that I think might be a point worth talking about at the end of the game. If Northants aren't successful, there were 2 no balls and 6 wides in that Worcestershire innings. That's up from James Sales. Fielder underneath it, doesn't quite get there. James Sales picks up another 8 extra deliveries in that 20 over innings for Worcestershire, in comparison 3 wides so far from Worcester.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one thing that bowling attack will reflect on and be a little bit disappointed with in that regard, in terms of extras that were bowled.
Just 1 for Tom Taylor. And how impressed have you been by Simon Mir? I know he's only here for 3 games for Worcestershire,
Yeah,
but
I was just going to say, he has been very impressive. Obviously, I think he's, since making his ODI debut for Pakistan, hasn't yet made his T20 international debut for Pakistan, but since making his debut, I think he's played all of the ODI since. And I think you alluded to it earlier, 10 wickets in 6 games, and obviously had a successful PSL.
Down the ground this time, and that is massive. Tom Taylor plants the brilliant Osama Mir back over his head for 6. And 150 in fact, as I commentate quicker than the scoreboards. 150 up for Northants.
That was an absolute bosh from Tom Taylor. I'm not even sure he got all of it, but
I don't think he did. I think he was targeting the top tier, wasn't he? And well battered by Tom Taylor. He drops that one into the offside and picks up a single, gets up the other end, keeps the strike as well, which I suspect is going to be incredibly important for the Steelbacks for the next 3 overs.
Intelligent cricket predictor's gone up to 6.2% after 7.1 now. Incredible. That can just keep going up in the rate after that over, then they're still in it.
Yeah, we're going to have to patch into Tom Taylor, I think, to keep that percentage climbing for the Steelbacks. D'Oliveira is going to bowl his 4th. Tom Taylor on strike. And that's powerfully struck into the leg side. It's only going to be 1 though. So Osama Mir finishes his evening's work. 4 overs, 3 wickets for 21 on debut for the Rapids. An incredible performance from the Pakistani international. Full, and I think that's a mis-stumping. James Sales gets away with one. Ben Cox, usually so good with the gloves, and misses out on a wicket there. Full again from D'Oliveira, and down the ground, Michael Bracewell does the fielding. It's just a single. Brings the powerful Tom Taylor back on strike. 3 sixes sound pretty good right about now.
That would go okay.
Shaping up for the 1, wasn't he? Didn't quite get it though. Which goes to show, doesn't it? There's more than one way to win a game of T20. All pace, really, from the Steelbacks, and at least 10 overs of spin from the Rapids. Sales doesn't get hold of that one. Don't know how many's Bracewell bowled. He's bowled 3, so 11 overs of spin for the Rapids tonight.
Yeah, D'Oliveira's bowled pretty well as well, to be fair to him, other than...
And he picks up the wicket of James Sales. As Joe was saying, he has bowled pretty well, and he's finished 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 28 in the end. There was that one delivery, wasn't there, that McManus deposited over the football stand, and other than that, he's been on it.
I didn't know how I was going to describe it other than rank half tracker, but other than that, he's been pretty good, and he was the 2nd leading wicket taker for the Rapids last year behind Pat Brown, and that's why if you can come into the attack and take 3 for 28, bowling in real good tandem with your overseas leg spinner, then it's going to win you games of cricket.
Absolutely, absolutely. 8 down now for the Steelbacks, 154 for 8. 2 overs to go. 21.5 runs required per over. I'm not putting much faith in the win predictor anymore.
I was going to say, I don't think we should display it.
No. Down the ground from Tom Taylor. AJ Tyers joins Tom Taylor at the crease. Adam Finch is bowling his 4th over.
Now, I think the key thing in a situation like this now, especially at the start of a tournament, is to almost not get bowled out, because you know what it's like with the whole net run rate saga when it gets to the end of the tournament and you end up tracing back and kicking yourself and finding opportunities where you perhaps didn't need to go so hard or what have you, to just try and preserve net run rate as best you can.
So bat 3 to the end of the innings, yeah? Just get as close as you can, and...
Yeah, I think so. When it seems obviously would be quite incredible if the Steelbacks were to win from this position, and I know that there are a couple of schools of thought, one of them being get as close as you can and get bowled out in trying to go for the total. But I think when you reach a position like this, when you're 8 down, you've got, well, obviously Tom Taylor's hitting them okay, but yeah, I think it would be silly to almost give them cheap wickets. Just try and get as close to that total as you can.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point. A few running repairs here for Adam Finch. Hopefully he's all right. Looks like he is. Stream powered by Daffabet. So thanks to everybody that's tuned in throughout the course of the evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed the coverage and the game so far. Full, oof, and Finch and the umpire, I think they've done pretty well to get out of the way of that. That is powerfully struck by Tom Taylor.
Well, after those running repairs that Finch just had, I'm sure that was could have been required. Physio could have been back on there.
Well, I think he's moved after the ball's gone past him, hasn't he?
Powerfully struck.
Wide, and a dot ball straight through to the keeper, Ben Cox. So good reply from Adam Finch, who jogs back to his mark. Obviously they're aware of the time infringements. Short, down the ground, chance. No, 4 runs. Tom Taylor picks up another 4, 164 for 8 now the score. Could be a big last over.
Yeah, very handy hitting here from Tom Taylor. And I think it's one of those, again, when you're thinking, obviously, it's a long tournament, 14 games. And if you can get your middle to lower order to have little cameos like this, it will give them confidence to grow into the tournament.
Short again, powerfully struck. That's 1 bounce 4 down towards the groundsman's hut. Could have done with that going for 6, but 4 off the last ball of the over. Finch finishes none for 49 off his 4 overs. And the Steelbacks 168 for 8 now. Which, if that's right, unfortunately, you're going to need to hit 29 off this last over. Which is going to be bowled by Pat Brown, I believe. Has just passed his hat over to the umpire. So as I was saying, thank you everybody that's tuned in throughout the course of this game. There's been some fantastic performances and innings and bowling performances and cameos from either side, barring a miracle. I think we're going to be talking about a Worcester Rapids win, aren't we? Are they late?
I think they could be. I reckon they've got to bring someone in, haven't they?
So is it just 1 in now? We don't get any extra runs or any bonus runs?
No, I reckon they've just got to have 4 out.
So we've got
it's
AJ.
Just like the women's game, we're only allowed 4 out anyway. You can do it, Pat Brown. Get on with it.
I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you.
5 out in men's game. Oh no, or are they?
No, it's back to 5 now.
Just a change of field.
It's back to 5.
What was I talking about?
I think that was your Northants optimism coming through.
It was going to be, yeah, Osama Mir, I'll take your 3 for 21 and I'll raise you 30 not out for Andrew Ty.
He's tried, and Pat Brown has started with a single off the first ball of the last over.
Contrary to belief, we are at Wantage Road and not the Crucible. With that cue from AJ Ty.
Pat Brown then to Tom Taylor. full, slower ball. Tom Taylor chips that one into the leg side, and will be a couple. As you said, definitely a conscious effort to get as close as they possibly can with this net run rate. I'm not sure anybody knows how net run rate's calculated, mind you, but it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The closer you get, the less penalised you are for it. But what kind of wizardry goes on behind the scenes to come up with a number, I've got no idea.
It's way beyond my intelligence, that is for sure.
Pat Brown then, Tom Taylor again, and struck down the ground. Coming back, AJ Ty was definitely a goner if the throw was a bit better from Adam Hose, but 2 more added.
With that, Tom Taylor moves on to 43, which is more than the entire runs he scored in the campaign last year. Only scored 41 across his 8 innings, but that probably tells you all you need to know about the bulk of runs that were scored at the top of the order.
Short, and Adam Hose is in the game again. Could be a few Worcestershire fielders out there at the moment asking if they could play as well. Yeah, there were some enterprising starts, wasn't there, at the top of the order for Northants. As you said, the top of the order scored the bulk of the runs last year. We saw Chris Lynn give it a tap. We saw Vasconcelos give it a tap. We saw Willey give it a tap. And you just really do need one of those guys to go on and produce a big score when you're chasing down the best part of 200, and that is up. That's a long way up. I don't know where that's gone. Adam Hose is underneath it, but I think he's watched that go straight over his head. AJ Ty, he can bowl, and he can bowl massive sixes as well, just for good measure. Just one-handed ones as well.
Yeah,
casual. 180. So
that was hilarious.
We need some nobles, 3 hits, and some more of those AJ Ties, and he's given it the full kitchen sink. But he's just going to pick up one, and that, I'm afraid, from a Steelbacks perspective, is that the Worcestershire Rapids win the game here at Wantage Road tonight. They start their season with a win. The Steelbacks fall 16 runs short in the end. Sam, welcome back to the stream. What have you made of that?
Yeah, I think there are a few key periods in the game, or key moments. I have to say the drop of Hose was probably about 16 runs difference, but also the hitting at the end of the Worcestershire innings with both Pollock and then Mir took what we thought was going to be quite significantly below par score to one that was right up there with par. And once you've got nearly 200 on the board, then that's pressure on the side batting second. And I think we saw that with some of the dismissals. They felt they had to force it. And, you know, unfortunately for Northants, they were picking out the fielders when they did that. Great start at 90 for 1, but then that clatter of wickets, and you've got to give massive credit to Osama Mir, who looks like a pretty special bowler. Brett D'Oliveira, excellent as well, 3 wickets each for them. I think actually a word for Pat Brown, who got a bit of tap in that first over, went for 19 and ended up then, you know, coming back pretty strongly in his 2 overs after that, having probably, you know, that's never fun as a seamer when your first over goes for that many runs. So yeah, credit to Worcestershire. I think probably on the night, you would have to say they deserved that win at the crunch moments. They were probably the better side.
Yeah, Joe, would you agree? Any key points to take away from that game?
Yeah, no, I think it was obviously a decent start with the ball. I think I mentioned earlier, knowing that Worcestershire were 25 for 2 after 4 overs, and just not almost took their foot off the gas, but maybe just not as ruthless as potentially David Willey would have liked his side to have been when you've got a team so under the pump in the power play. Just being really, I guess, clear on executing your plans and stuff. And yeah, I'm sure the extras are something that the bowlers will want to be working on as well, but I think Sam's absolutely right in that knowing the cameos from Pollock and Mir at the end of the Worcester innings really got them up to a very good total in 196, and having to chase that is always going to be a big total. And yeah, the wickets that you saw were captured on the ropes and in the ring and stuff, so batters were obviously trying to force it and get the boundaries when they felt they needed to, because they were under a bit of scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Northampton will look back at that Worcestershire innings. There's some standout innings, but no particularly massive score. Adam Ho's 61 isn't huge, is it, by today's standard? As I said, 13 extras. I'm not intelligent enough to know as to where those extra deliveries ended up going, but there were a few standout overs, weren't there? I think David Willey, did he bowl the fifth that went for 14-15? Graham White bowled the fifth, which went for 17, I think.
AJ Ty's first over,
sorry,
the fifth, went for 15, and the last over of the power play, Graham White, went for 17,
Yeah, and then Northampton, we could have just done with a bit more Chris Lynn or a bit more Vasconcelos or a bit more David Willey for a couple extra overs, and would have just helped create a bigger hole in that run chase of 197 for the Worcestershire Rapids. Anything else?
I just wonder whether, in hindsight, only going in with the one frontline spinner, easy to say when a side has spinners have won in the game almost. I mean, they were international quality spinners, and actually Brett D'Oliveira as well has bowled really well. But would have just maybe given a bit of an extra option if Russell or Heldrick had been in the 11. But it's a long campaign, like you said, Joe. 14 games. They've certainly not been absolutely thumped here. It's in the end, it's 16 runs. It was comfortable, but they've still scored 181 batting seconds, so no need to panic. And just got the great thing about this tournament is the games come thick and fast. We'll be back here on Friday, and there's another chance to put it right against a side that struggled last year in Durham.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks so much to everybody that's joined us throughout the course of the evening stream, powered by Daffabet. Joe, you're off to Lords tomorrow, so good luck to you and the Sunrisers at the home of cricket.
Thank you.
We'll be back on Friday. Tickets are selling fast. If you want them, get them online, because they won't be available on the gate, I don't believe. Get yourself down here on a Friday night in Northampton and have a lovely evening. So I've been Dan Jadzovic, Joe Gardner in the middle, Sam Keir at the end. I've got your name right at the end of the day, Sam. It's taken me a little bit of time.
Progress.
But I've got there eventually, and we'll see you on Friday.